Chapter 97. When Li Fan arrived at the school, the language exam had already passed. I thought you didn't dare to come. Chang Chuanxi looked at Li Fan, who pushed open the classroom door, and sneered. Why did you come at this time? Are you looking for humiliation? If you fail any of the remaining 5 subjects, you will be kicked out of the school forever. Don't worry, I will watch how you are fired from the school. Li Fan had taken off his school uniform. The shirt inside was black and the bloodstain wasn't obvious. He sat in front of the desk and hooked his finger at Chang Chuanxi. Come on, counter soldiers with arms and water with an earthware. No matter what trick it is, I will take it all. You can only be arrogant for a while. Chang Chuanxi said and clapped his hands. 7 or 8 teachers came into the room and sat around Li Fan. One of the teachers held a special instrument in his hand and scanned Li Fan. What the hell is this? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. This is the most advanced scanner. It can scan whether you have any electronic products on you. Haha, then you can rest assured that I didn't even bring my phone today. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. My face is really big. The school actually used the best things on me. You won't be able to laugh in a while. Chang Chuanxi was annoyed when he saw Li Fan. Li Fan, do your best. I believe in you. The old lady of history was also one of the invigilators. She patted Li Fan's shoulder. Teacher Yang, please don't say unnecessary words. Chang Chuanxi was a little unhappy. I am encouraging my students. The old lady of history sat on the side and rolled her eyes. I have been a teacher for 40 years. I don't need you to teach me how to teach, Teacher Chang. Chang Chuanxi suffered a setback and sat next to Li Fan angrily. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. This was a math exam. The math teacher sat next to him and stared at Li Fan. Obviously, he was checking whether he was cheating or not. Li Fan took the paper and the pen. He stared at the paper and his head felt slightly heavy. It seemed that Lin Yuhin was right. He might really be having a fever. However, he had to persevere. He was familiar with these questions. Lin Yuhin had taught him all of them. Li Fan gently closed his eyes, allowing the true qi within his body to quickly circulate. Every time he circulated his zhenqi, he felt his mind becoming clearer. All right, keep this up and you'll definitely be able to answer all these questions. When Li Fan opened his eyes again, his dizzy head was much better. The questions became clearer, and the train of thought became more complete. Li Fan held the gel pen and began to fill in the answers. The math teacher sat at the side, and he couldn't help but be surprised. Li Fan's train of thought was correct. Although there were some careless areas, at least he knew how to solve these questions. How is it? Seeing that Li Fan was busy answering questions, Chang Chuanxi asked the math teacher. He's very smart. The math teacher was happy, especially this question. I have never taught him the solution method. He must have learned this by himself. Chang Chuanxi was speechless. Could it be that Li Fan was really enlightened? Li Fan continued to answer the questions. In less than an hour, he had finished a set of questions. Child, you answered very well. The math teacher was very happy. He directly scored 95 points on the paper. If you can be more careless, you can at least get 120 points. Look, here, and here. If you are a little more serious. All right, let him take the next question. Chang Chuanxi urged. The math teacher shut his mouth and stood aside obediently. Now that Chang Chuanxi was the spokesperson of the school's principal, although he didn't like this guy, he couldn't refute him. Then it was English, and Li Fan answered it easily. After listening to the math teacher's suggestion, Li Fan became more serious. Although he spent more time, he would check every question after he finished. Although the time was longer, the efficiency was higher. 1.5 hours later, an English paper was just finished. The English teacher immediately scored 105 points. There are 3 more minor subjects. Li Fan smiled and looked at Chang Chuanxi. Teacher Chang, are you excited that you have an outstanding student? There are 3 more subjects. I hope you can be as successful. Chang Chuanxi wasn't in a good mood. You can take a break. No need. There are 3 more subjects. Take them out together. You are too arrogant. Chang Chuanxi was about to lose his temper. I think it's fine. Give him a comprehensive liberal arts paper. The old lady with history said. All right. Although this paper is for grade 2, it is very difficult. This set of papers was reserved for the college entrance exam mock exam. The questions were more difficult. For students, the mock exam was more difficult. When they saw the college entrance exam questions, they would find that the questions were much simpler. This would give them more confidence and they would be able to answer the questions more smoothly. Now this set of papers was placed in front of Li Fan. The questions were indeed a bit difficult, but for him, it was still something he could solve. Thank you, Lin Yu-hin. Li Fan began to answer the questions. The 3 teachers sat beside Li Fan and watched. Under such supervision, Li Fan couldn't cheat. The strictness of this exam was comparable to a prison. Not bad. Li Fan, you answered this question very well. Your view is also very unique. The old lady with history watched Li Fan answer the questions and couldn't help but praise him. Teacher Yang, this student is answering the questions. Please don't talk. Oh, okay. The old lady looked very happy. Little Chang, I am thirsty. Can you pour me a glass of water? I'm getting old. It's inevitable that I have a lot of things to do. Sure, this old lady was a relative of the school's director. Even if Chang Chuanxi was unhappy, he couldn't show it. Sure, Teacher Yang. I will get you a glass of water. Chang Chuanxi went to get the water. The old lady winked at Li Fan and Li Fan gave a thumbs up. After that, under Chang Chuanxi's supervision, Li Fan finished answering the last question. Liberal arts test, 220 point. Very high. The old lady looked at Li Fan's paper, completely qualified. Thank you, teacher. You have worked hard today. Li Fan's tense nerves finally relaxed. His vision started to turn black and he slumped on the table. Li Fan. Li Fan. The old lady pushed Li Fan twice, but he didn't react at all. Li Fan. What is this kid doing again? Chang Chuanxi curled his lips. Does he want to sleep in the classroom? Shut up. He is sick. The old lady reached out and touched Li Fan's forehead. God, it's so hot. Hey. Is he really sick? Nonsense. Quickly send him to the hospital. Chapter 98. Li Fan saw that Murong Ying was lowering her head to kiss him. She seemed to have changed and became very gentle. Wife, in broad daylight, isn't it not good for us to do this? Li Fan was somewhat resistant. I want to give birth to your child. Murong Ying said very directly. I'm not mentally prepared yet. Then we're not kissing? Wait a minute, I'll take off my pants first. No, we need to kiss first. Murong Ying's face seemed to have turned into Murong's face. Li Fan said that no matter which one she was, he would not suffer a loss anyway, whether it was a storm or a storm. Come on, life is like a rape. If you can't resist, you have to learn to enjoy it. This kind of life creed is the truth. Without waiting for Li Fan to enjoy it, Murong's face in front of him began to blur again. After a while, it turned into Taizhu's face. Ah! Li Fan exclaimed, scaring Taizhu. Son-in-law, you're finally awake. Taizhu's big face left Li Fan's sight. Missy, son-in-law is awake. Li Fan was also completely shocked awake. A beautiful dream was ruined by this scary old woman. He opened his eyes, looked around and found that he was lying in the hospital. The ward was very quiet. There were not as many people and noises as he imagined. Don't look anymore, I see you. Murong Ying was sitting at the side, wearing her longest cheongsam. This time, it was emerald green, dotted with golden chrysanthemums. Your outfit is so vulgar. Li Fan couldn't help but ridicule. Retract your gaze from my legs before you say that. Murong Ying's words made Li Fan blush. I'm just studying the brand of your stockings. You think too much, I never wear stockings. This time, Murong Ying was actually reading the English version of Harry Potter. This woman was actually interested in such a book. Do you think there's magic in this world? Murong Ying suddenly asked. Where did magic come from? That's all nonsense. Li Fan tried to sit up from the bed, but his body felt weak. Fuck, what's wrong with me? You still don't understand. Murong Ying closed the Harry Potter book. Your body's functions have been destroyed, and you're so badly infected, yet you still want to take the exam. You're really something. Of course I have to take the exam. Li Fan was not convinced and said, no matter what, we can't lose our pride. So what if I'm weak? I'm not dead yet. I'll be fine again in a few days. You really know how to show off. Murong Ying gave a look to Taizhu. Taizhu came over with a bowl of medicinal soup. Young master, this is a medicinal soup made with good herbs. After you drink it, you'll get better faster. I don't want to drink it. Li Fan curled his lips, it's too bitter. Where's your ambition just now? Murong Ying smiled, now you're afraid of bitterness. It's not the same, okay? Li Fan braced himself and said, I'm not afraid of bleeding. But I don't want to eat bitterness. You're really stubborn. Murong Ying rolled her eyes at Li Fan, drink the medicine. I won't drink it even if I die. You can kiss me after you drink it. A man should change himself once in a while. Li Fan picked up the bowl and drank the medicine inside. Too bitter. He could not help but curled his lips. Can I kiss you now? Okay, I'll sit here as long as you can kiss me. Murong Ying smiled slyly. Fuck, you're cheating. I've already said that I want you to kiss me, not that I'll take the initiative to kiss you. Murong Ying squinted her eyes at Li Fan. You can't do it, and you're blaming me? Fuck you, you actually said that I can't do it. Li Fan was angry. He struggled to sit up, but Taizhu pushed him back to the bed. Young master, you need to have a good rest. As he spoke, Taizhu pursed his lips. What kiss? I can do it on behalf of eldest miss. I'd better continue to recuperate. Li Fan turned his head, feeling as if he had returned to hell. Such a difficult life. All right, you can recuperate here. Murong Ying stood up, her beautiful legs were covered under the cheongsam. You've won 7 days of leave for you guys. Well, there's only 5 days left. Enjoy it. With that, she turned and walked out of the ward. Why don't you go with her? Li Fan asked Taizhu. Young master, Miss said to let me take care of you these few days. Taizhu said shyly, although I'm a virgin. But I've thought it through. Miss's order, a maid's order. Tonight, I'll sleep on the same bed with young master. Whatever young master wants to do. This one won't resist. You'd better sleep on the bed next to us. Li Fan almost collapsed. I'm not used to sleeping with 2 people. Moreover, you're too big. If I squeeze in with you, do I have a place to sleep? Young master, you can sleep. Sleep on Renjia's body. Aya, so embarrassing. Taizhu covered his face and swayed his waist. Li Fan wished he could faint again. Be obedient. Taizhu. Let me rest by myself. Li Fan said weakly. Living with Taizhu was really difficult. All right, young master has been haggard recently. It's not suitable for you to do some strenuous exercise. Taizhu nodded. I have to be considerate of young master. Then young master can rest for a while. What do you want to eat? Taizhu will buy it for you. Other than hair products, anything else is fine. I want to eat KFC. No, it's hair products. I want to eat squirrel fish. No, it's hair products. I want to eat streaky pork. It's also hair products. Fuck. Li Fan collapsed. I want to eat shit. Aya. This doesn't seem to be hair products. Young master, do you want to eat hot or cold? Get lost. Li Fan really didn't know whether this Taizhu was Murong Ying who left him here to take care of him or to punish him. He simply closed his eyes and quietly felt the flow of true qi in his body. The novels he read mentioned true qi healing. He didn't know if he could try it. He let the true qi continue to circulate in his body. This way, he really felt a lot more comfortable. To speed up the recovery of his injury, he still had 1.5 million that he hadn't spent yet. How to use this money, he really needed to make a good plan. Li Fan thought very well. Unknowingly, he slowly fell asleep. It wasn't until midnight that he woke up again. He felt a little thirsty. Young master, you're awake? Taizhu was sitting next to him, knitting a sweater. It was hard to imagine how such a thick hand could do such a fine job. I'm a little thirsty. Ah, Then I'll go buy some water for young master. You've worked hard. Li Fan was still a little tired. His body needed to recover, so he was a little tired. After Taizhu went out for a while, the ward door was slowly pushed open. Taizhu, you're back. I hope you bought Coke. Li Fan also didn't know why, but at this time, he became very greedy. I brought death. What entered his eyes was a somewhat familiar man. Chapter 99. Li Wenjue was the newly appointed Baihu. He had worked hard and completed many tasks before he was promoted to this position. He would not allow himself to fail. Absolutely not. After asking around, he finally found out Li Fan's current location. He was hospitalized. This was a heaven-sent opportunity. However, during the day, there was an expert protecting him. Therefore, Li Wenjue had quietly waited for this moment of hardship. I bring death. Li Wenjue pushed open the door of the ward. In his hand was a gleaming goose feather saber. It dazzled Li Fan's eyes. What the fuck? Why did it have to be this guy? Can't the Imperial Secret Service's 11th Division take a break? Li Fan couldn't help but complain. I'll take a break after I kill you. As he spoke, Li Wenjue took a step forward. The goose feather saber in his hand went straight for Li Fan's skull. Damn you. Li Fan grabbed the shelf that was used for his 4-drip and threw it. Clang. The shelf was immediately split in half. At the same time, Li Fan stretched out his hands and caught the goose feather saber. Empty-handed blade catch. Although he had never practiced it before, it was always good to give it a try. This was the first time Li Fan tried it. He didn't expect it to be so useful. He really caught Li Wenjue's goose feather saber. You know empty-handed blade catch? Li Wenjue was a little surprised. Where did you learn it? I'm new to it. Please forgive me. As Li Fan spoke, he lifted his leg and kicked him in the stomach. Although Li Fan's body was a little weak, this kick contained his vital energy. Li Wenjue was immediately sent flying. He flew more than 3 meters away and hit the wall behind him. Cracks appeared on the wall. It was obvious how heavy Li Fan's kick was, but Li Wenjue just slid down and dusted himself. I don't like prey that fight back. Li Wenjue said. You don't like posers either. As Li Fan spoke, he took a deep breath and let the Dantian Qi quickly circulate in his body. The feeling of true energy flowing through his body was very comfortable. Li Wenjue had once again arrived in front of him. At the same time, he drew his goose feather saber and slashed at Li Fan's neck. Needless to say, this fellow's saber technique was very good. Even Li Fan had to nod his head in praise. But now was not the time to praise others. Li Fan's body lay down, avoiding Li Wenjue's blade. At the same time, he rolled to the side and fell off the bed. At this moment, Li Wenjue had already raised his saber and chopped the sickbed in half. Where do you think you can hide? Li Wenjue sneered. I have already locked the door. This will be your grave. I am still young. As for the matter of entering the grave, it is better for you to do it yourself. Li Fan did not care whether his body could withstand it or not. He forcefully gathered his true energy. With true energy circulating throughout his body, Li Fan decided to use the least amount of strength to block Li Wenjue. Snake strike. Li Fan's hands were like a snake, ready to strike. You want to defeat me? Li Wenjue spun the goose feather saber in his hand. With your mediocre martial arts? You want to defeat my minor phaseless magic? In your dreams. Minor phaseless magic? Li Fan rolled his eyes. Is it your body-strengthening martial art? Of course, this is our genie guard's martial art. Li Wenjue was a bit proud, and my gate-breaking saber. Remember, you will die under this saber technique. Die your sister, you damn pervert. Although Li Fan was cursing, he did not make a move. Snake strike had always been a defensive counterattack, waiting for the best opportunity to deal a fatal blow. But I am very curious, what is the zodiac sign of such a pervert? Please tell me, dear. A dead man still needs to ask so many questions. Li Wenjue did not answer. He just stepped forward and slashed at Li Fan's vital point. Li Fan took a step forward. His arm was like a snake, wrapping around Li Wenjue's wrist. Huh! Li Wenjue cried out in alarm, but Li Fan's palm had already hit his throat. Bang! The result was an explosion. Li Wenjue's throat trembled a bit, but it was not pierced. He just tilted his head back and looked at Li Fan with disdain. "You are too weak," Li Wenjue said. "Even the golden body created by my minor phaseless magic can't be broken." Li Wenjue pushed Li Fan away and continued to attack with his goose feather saber. Li Fan also entangled Li Wenjue's hands one after another. The spirit snake comes out of its hole kept striking Li Wenjue's throat without giving up. But Li Wenjue's golden body created by the minor phaseless magic was indeed very tyrannical. Li Fan's attacks had no effect. "You still don't understand." Li Wenjue looked at Li Fan as if he was looking at an ant. "You don't understand the power of the genie guards. Your so-called golden body, let me break it today." Li Fan quickly mobilized the mental cultivation method in his body and circulated his true qi. Although Li Fan's body would be hurt if he used his internal energy at full force, it was not the time to protect himself. Life or death. His life was hanging by a thread. "Don't struggle, go die." Li Wenjue's goose feather saber went straight for his neck, but Li Fan's waist shrank back, dodging Li Wenjue's saber. At the same time, his left hand condensed a ball of qi, which was completely condensed from his true qi. Golden toad spitting pearl. Li Fan slapped Li Wenjue with his palm. Li Wenjue's expression changed, as if he felt something, and hurriedly raised his goose feather saber to block in front of him. Dang! Li Fan's palm shot out a white cyclone. This cyclone, like a cannonball, instantly bounced out and hit Li Wenjue's goose feather saber, easily breaking it into pieces. At the same time, the white cyclone hit Li Wenjue's chest. "My golden body. It can't be broken." Li Wenjue stood there, opened his arms, golden body invincible. Bang! Li Fan's cyclone tore the clothes on his lower abdomen, and sent Li Wenjue flying. This time, Li Wenjue heavily hit the wall behind him, leaving a dent in the wall. His golden body was broken, and he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Li Fan forcibly circulated his inner qi, squatted on the ground, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! Although Li Wenjue had suffered some internal injuries, he had received devilish training since he was a child, so he could endure it. He slowly crawled up, stretched his hand behind his back, and took out the pair of deadly claws. "I admit, I have underestimated you. But this time, your life is over." Without waiting for Li Wenjue to come over, the locked door of the ward was suddenly kicked open, and a sturdy body appeared, grabbed Li Wenjue's neck with one hand, and threw Li Wenjue out like a chick. Li Wenjue's body smashed through the window, and fell downstairs. Chapter 100. Son-in-law, are you all right? Taizhu hurriedly steps forward and reaches out to take off Li Fan's clothes, scaring Li Fan into covering his body. What are you trying to do? I want to check your body to see if you are injured or something. Taizhu says with concern. Li Fan takes 2 steps back. "I am fine. Don't get too close. You will injure me." "Oh, all right." Taizhu obediently takes 2 steps back while Li Fan walks to the window and takes a look outside. In the vast night, the garden below is also quiet. Li Wenjue's figure is nowhere to be seen. Damn it, he escaped again. Li Fan frowns, feeling very unhappy. This damned Li Wenjue. Wait till I recover, I will definitely let him know what pain is. Is it someone from the genie guard again, son-in-law? Taizhu cannot help but ask. Yes, a Baihu. If you did not come back in time, I would have been sent from the intensive care unit to the morgue. It's my fault. Taizhu is extremely regretful. I should not have left son-in-law's side. I should have slept on the same bed with son-in-law and used my gentle embrace to protect son-in-law. Forget about the latter. I am fine anyways. You don't have to blame yourself. Li Fan decides to consult Taizhu. Speaking of which, Taizhu, do you know about the minor phaseless magic technique? I have heard some rumors. Taizhu nods his head. This is a popular evil technique in Jianghu. Only a virgin can practice it. It is said that when a person who practices this technique reaches a certain level, he would be invulnerable to swords and spears, fire and water. That bad? Li Fan couldn't help but be surprised. Yes, And I heard that this minor phaseless magic technique has already been learned by an expert from the genie guard. That Baihu who wanted to injure son-in-law, is he practicing this evil technique? Li Fan nods his head. Fortunately my toad strike technique can break his golden body. Actually the crane strike technique's white crane nod technique should work as well. But recently my body is weak and cannot use all my internal force. Next time I catch him, I will let him taste my 7 hero fists. Son-in-law, rest assured, you can stay in the hospital peacefully. Taiju puffed out his sturdy chest. I'll protect you here. You can sleep peacefully. Li Fan said, it's because you are here that I can't sleep. I can sleep, but you're not allowed to do anything to me, understand? Never thought son-in-law is willing to protect you. I didn't expect that the son-in-law would be willing to keep his chastity for eldest miss. Taiju blushed. Don't worry son-in-law, you haven't been feeling well these past 2 days. Taiju can't delay son-in-law's recovery for a moment of happiness. When son-in-law recovers, Taiju will gallop crazily with you. Gallop your grandpa, Li Fan observed again. It seemed that with Taiju here, Li Wenjue would not dare to come again. Only then did he return to his bed with a peace of mind. He closed his eyes again, searching for the drowsiness that he had almost lost. Li Wenjue was like an experienced hunter, quietly hiding in the bushes of the hospital for more than an hour. He calculated that the time was almost ripe, so he sneaked down to the inpatient department and easily jumped to the 3rd floor with 8 steps overtaking Cicada. After a few leaps, he quickly approached Li Fan's window. The mission had to be completed. No matter who tried to stop him, he would die. Li Baihu's eyes were filled with ferocity. His body was almost stuck to the building like a gecko. However, at this moment, a woman's voice sounded from the top of the building. Your Excellency's visit in the middle of the night is truly the conduct of a thief. Li Baihu raised his head in surprise and saw a woman wearing a cheongsam with a sword in her hand. This is a place for rest. If you take another step in, you will die. No one can stop the footsteps of the embroidered uniform guards. Li Baihu threw out 3 swallow darts, which went straight for the woman above his head. However, the woman swung the sword in her hand, and a white crescent-shaped sword energy immediately descended from the sky. At that moment, Li Baihu felt death looming over him. The 3 swallow darts that he threw out were instantly destroyed by the sword chi. Run. There was only one thought in Li Baihu's mind. He immediately stopped moving and stepped on the wall of the building. His whole body bounced out of the building. Whoosh. The sword energy instantly brushed past the soles of his shoes and slashed at the cement platform below. The cement platform was immediately cut in half, and the soles of Li Baihu's shoes were also cut off. If he had been 1 step slower, it would have been his feet that would have been cut off. What a powerful sword technique. Li Baihu looked at the woman under the night sky. You. Who are you? How dare you meddle in the affairs of the embroidered uniform guards? My name is Murong Ying. Murong Ying pointed her sword at Li Baihu below. If you don't leave now, the next sentence will be your last words. Damn. He actually met the chief of Wulin. Murong Ying had always been a legendary figure in Jianghu. Li Baihu had heard of her but never seen her. He didn't expect to see her today. She really lived up to her reputation. He knew that he couldn't beat her, so he didn't even dare to say anything. Murong Ying looked at him coldly. Li Baihu could only grit his teeth and swallow his anger. If he wanted to kill Li Fan, he could only wait until Murong Ying was not here. What did this guy do to deserve Murong Ying's protection? There were rumors in Jianghu that Murong Ying found a husband for him. Could it be him? Damn it. It seemed that he had to find another opportunity. Li Baihu wasn't a brainless person. He didn't say anything and cupped his hands at Murong Ying. Then, he turned around and jumped into the forest, disappearing. He only learned martial arts for a few days and he already caused so much trouble. Murong Ying sighed softly. It seems that this husband of mine will either die a horrible death or become an overlord. Husband, oh husband, don't disappoint me. Li Fan was woken up by a phone call. Early in the morning, he didn't know who it was that kept calling him. When Li Fan opened his eyes, he saw Taiju holding his phone with one hand. His arm was full of veins. Li Fan hurriedly shouted. Taiju, what are you doing? I think it's very noisy. Help young master eliminate it. Fuck. Can't you turn off your phone? Li Fan snatched the phone. Life was very tight now. How could he be so wasteful? The caller was a stranger. When Li Fan picked it up, a dull voice came from the phone. Li Fan? I'm Li Fan. Who is this? For some reason, Li Fan felt that the caller didn't have good intentions. At noon, go to Shunfeng chess room at Ganshui Road alone. If you're late by a minute, I'll chop off one of Huang Lei's fingers. If you're late by 10 minutes, you'll have to wait to collect Huang Lei's corpse. With that, the caller hung up. What the fuck? What's going on? Li Fan didn't understand the situation. However, Huang Lei seemed to be in danger. What should he do now? Chapter 101. Call the police. When he told Bai Lin Luo about this, Little Four Eyes gave him a suggestion. The enemy is in the dark while we're out in the open. If we go there rashly, our chances of winning are too small. Little Four Eyes gave Li Fan the most rational analysis. So, it's better to call the police. No, if we call the police, Lei might be in danger. Li Fan shook his head. You don't have to interfere in this matter. Since the other party asked me to go, I will go and meet them. Son-in-law, you can't go anywhere. Taiju blocked Li Fan's way. Missy said that you must recuperate. Recuperate my ass. My friend is going to be beheaded. Li Fan jumped off the bed. Taiju, where did I put my uniform? Wearing a patient's uniform was too eye-catching. Your uniform is here. No, you can't go out. You must rest well. Taiju didn't let Li Fan leave. Yeah, Taiju. Li Fan knew that Taiju was a stubborn person. He suddenly looked at the door. Wife, you're here? Missy. The moment Taiju turned around, Li Fan had already snatched his uniform and jumped out of the window. Ah, son-in-law. Taiju exclaimed. Li Fan had already run far away with his Qing Gong. Oh no. I have to inform Missy about this. Haha, I'm out. Li Fan landed lightly on the grass and put on his school uniform at the same time. Lazy, you must hold on. I'm coming to save you. Shunfeng chess room. Although it was called a chess room, it was actually a mahjong parlor. Wu Ji had been running this mahjong parlor for a long time and business had always been good. He and Hu Ergu had known each other for a long time. They were brothers who worked in the same gang. Later, when Hu Ergu joined the Red Dragon gang, his status rose and his position became more prominent. His mahjong parlor didn't have anyone protecting it. It was all because of his name. Recently, Hu Ergu went to the palace for the second time. Wu Ji couldn't sit still anymore and followed him around. Heaven rewarded those who worked hard, and he finally found a clue. Huang Lei, who was originally a poor and dejected hooligan, suddenly became rich recently. When he had nothing to do, he would invite a group of scoundrels out to eat and drink, as if he had suddenly become rich. Wu Ji was more observant. He checked Huang Lei's recent expenses and found that Huang Lei rented a small dinghy in Songjiang a few days ago. After mingling in the underworld for so many years, Wu Ji had a clever heart. He couldn't help but be more observant. Wu Ji sent someone to catch Huang Lei. As a result, this Huang Lei seemed to be glib, but after playing for a long time, he didn't forget to say a word. However, Wu Ji also found out that he recently recognized a big brother named Li Fan. Since Huang Lei couldn't say anything, he could only use his big brother as a breakthrough. Brother, what if the big brother Huang Lei doesn't say anything? Wu Ji had a top fighter under his command named Lin. He had been a soldier for 2 years. He could fight and fight, so he was deeply liked by Wu Ji. Wu Ji played a red card and sneered, "Do you still need to ask your brother this question?" He said and touched a new card. "What kind of person is this Li Fan? I've investigated him. He's just a high school student. At most, he knows some martial arts. In the underworld, there are many people who know how to play a few punches. Is this kind of person worthy to be the big brother?" Just a simple scare and he confessed. "Brother, you're right. Today, let that Li Fan know what is called the underworld." Lin smiled. "Don't talk nonsense. There is no underworld nowadays. As a result, Wu Ji gave him a supercilious look. If you talk nonsense again, I'll punish you with 3 bottles of wine tonight. Ayo, look at my broken mouth. Without hesitation, Lina directly slapped his own mouth, making a crisp sound. Brother, don't be angry. Next time, I'll pay attention to my words. Alright, let's play cards. Wu Ji said and glanced at Huang Lei, who was beaten to death. Why is he sleeping? This is not a hotel. Go, wake him up. Yes. A thin man from the side walked over, squatted in front of Huang Lei, and stretched out his hand to give him a big slap. With a slap, this slap was much crisper than Lin Ya's slap. Huang Lei was awakened. Looking at the few people who were playing cards in front of him, he groaned twice. I say, Lei, you're not young anymore. You should think about yourself. Wu Ji played cards and casually said, say, if you're missing an arm or a leg, how can you live in society in the future? Thank you for your concern, brother. Huang Lei smiled, but I really don't know why brother asked me to stay. I'm just a little punk. Every day, I pee and muddy. How can I be worthy of brother's attention? Don't be so modest. Our Lei has been living a good life recently. Wu Ji said with a smile. Every day he smokes in Yushi, drinks Marotai, 3 seafood meals, 2 barbecue meals. This life is better than mine. I've let brother laugh at me. Huang Lei smiled. I'm born with a grudge against money. Now that I have some money in my pocket, I must quickly spend it. Otherwise, my heart will feel bad. You're glib. There will be a day when you cry. Wu Ji was not annoyed. He slowly said, when your big brother comes, I'll talk to him. You've recognized a new big brother. No matter what, I have to see him. Brother, if you have any problem, just come at me. Why are you looking for my big brother? My big brother doesn't know these things. If he offends you, we can't afford it. Huang Lei started to panic. He thought to himself that if his big brother came, this matter would be blown out of proportion. Wu Ji was different from the others. He was special. Not only did he have a good relationship with the Red Dragon Gang, but he was also friends with a few other big brothers in the underworld. Not only that, even the other 2 big gangs in a city, the Yellow Clothes Group and the Vanguard, had a bit of an ambiguous relationship with Wu Ji. It was said that when Wu Ji was in charge of the gang, he was on duty. These big brothers had all been in his cell for a few days. Wu Ji had good taste and brains. He took good care of all the big brothers. Therefore, although he only opened a mahjong parlor in a city, no matter which gang, they all had to give him some face. This was why Huang Lei was afraid of Wu Ji. If Li Fan came and fought with Wu Ji, he would definitely make a lot of enemies. Especially this time, if the news of the black eating the black got out, then everything would be over. Big brother, please don't come. I, Lei, am not afraid of your loyalty. As long as you don't come, they will at most beat me half to death. Huang Lei prayed silently in his heart. But he was also a bit conflicted. Maybe in his heart, he still hoped that his big brother would come. Huang Lei, you've been in this underworld for so many years. How could you expect something like this? Think about it, the 1.5 million is with by Lin Luo, and my big brother is holding it. Even if he wanted to kick away a hooligan like him who had no ability, it would also be normal. Are there any real brothers in this business? Chapter 102. Today, Wu Ji's luck was good. He killed several times in a row. But at this moment, he suddenly slapped the mahjong table and shouted. Fuck, I forgot something. Brother, what's wrong? Lina quickly asked. I've thought of something important. My brain. Wu Ji patted his forehead. If it was really done by them, they should have drugs and money. Then, a small character like Huang Lei, Li Fan should not care about him. Who would care about this kind of small fry? Miscalculation. Brother, what should we do? It's almost 12 o'clock. Lina could not help but ask, he won't come, right? If it's me, I won't come. Wu Ji touched his chin. After all, Huang Lei, this kind of small fry, can be had as many as you want. With so much money, do you still need to worry about not having a few people running errands? Okay, brother, I know what you mean. Lina nodded, then took out a mountain axe from under the mahjong table and held it in his hand. That axe blade was polished with unknown material, it was very sharp and flashed a cold light. Even if Huang Lei was heartless, seeing this axe, his heart trembled a bit. I'll help you kill him, brother. I've killed pigs before, I promise I'll do it fast. Lina fiercely said. Kill your uncle. Wu Ji rolled his eyes. Can't you be a bit more reliable? What kind of day and age is this, killing people so easily? Kill your head. He could not help but slap Linia's head. Just cut off one of his hands. He touched something that he shouldn't touch. Just one of his hands is not much. Brother, if you want one of my hands, I don't object. Huang Lei said, after all, you're the big brother, I'm just a small fry. If big brother wants one of my hands, that's my honor. But brother, you can't slander me. I, Huang Lei, may be a petty thief, but what you're talking about, taking drugs. I've never done anything like that. Huang Lei muttered in his heart, anyway, I didn't take the drugs, it was Fu Fan. I don't care if you took it or not. Who asked you to use the boat for those 2 days? Wu Ji said, my brother went in, and I have to give him an explanation. Although there is no clear evidence, I feel that this matter is most likely related to you. Just one of your hands is already a bargain for you. All right, let's chop them up. Huang Lei took the initiative to extend his hand. This is only the first step. Wu Ji laughed. The second step is to send you to the cell and lock you up with my brother. I'll leave the rest to my brother. I didn't do anything illegal. How could I be in jail? You're going to do it now. Wu Ji said and clapped his hands. Lina immediately stepped forward and stuffed 20,000 yuan into Huang Lei's pocket. You see, you stole 20,000 yuan from me. My brother got angry and cut off one of your hands. You two have to go to the cell together. You see how thoughtful I am, arranging someone to take care of you. Huang Lei's heart turned cold. He thought that this Wu Ji was too ruthless. He actually thought of such a sinister method. I don't want to stay in the cell. Huang Lei covered his buttocks. I heard that nowadays, there are always people who have buttocks. Who the hell cares about your buttocks? Lina glared at Huang Lei. Once you're in the cell, I'll take half of your life first. With that, he raised the axe in his hand. Wait. At this moment, Huang Lei was finally afraid. What? Didn't we agree? If my brother doesn't come before 12, then we'll make our move. Huang Lei looked at Wu Ji. You're my brother. You have to keep your word. Still not giving up. Fine. Wu Ji looked at his watch. There's still half an hour. I'll let you live in peace for half an hour. Wu Ji, have a good heart. I can't do anything about it. I'm a Buddhist. Huang Lei clenched his teeth. This is called good heart. You still have the nerve to believe in Buddha, but brother, will you really come? Huang Lei was not sure. After all, he was really insignificant to his brother. Little Four Eyes could help his brother strategize. He was his brother's strategist. Even that foreign aide, Guan Wenbao, could help his brother fight for the country. Only he did not have any ability. If he did not drag his brother down, it would already be amazing. Would his brother really be willing to save a hooligan like him? There's only 5 minutes left, brother. Lina seemed to be a little impatient. I think that brat won't come. Let's just chop him up. Fine. Wu Ji nodded. Sooner or later, you'll have to chop him up. Lei, just accept it. Remember, you're just a stray dog. You were abandoned that year. You're still the same now. Seeing Lina getting closer, Huang Lei slowly closed his eyes. He could not help but recall 5 years ago when his brother patted his shoulder and said, Lei, good brother. Go and stay in prison for 3 years on behalf of your brother. After you come out, your brother will let you have a good life. Just because of this sentence, Huang Lei abandoned Xiao Shu. He went to prison and stayed there for 3 years. After he came out, things were different. Xiao Shu ran away with someone else. When he went to find his brother didn't even see him. He only asked his brother to give him 10,000 yuan and sent him away. 3 years, a lifetime of brotherhood, in exchange for 10,000 yuan. At this moment, Huang Lei's heart seemed to be a little unwilling, as if there was something that was trying to struggle. But it was only for a moment. He quickly let out a breath and completely cut off his last trace of hope. Perhaps, I'm really a stray dog. What's the meaning of my life? I'm willing to be a domestic dog in my next life. At least I can have a nest. The moment Linear's axe was about to fall, the mahjong parlor's door was suddenly kicked open. Bang! The door panels flew to both sides, and the midday sun shone in. Li Fan was wearing the familiar white and blue school uniform. He stood there with one hand holding a strong man. The people at the door don't believe that I'm Huang Lei's brother. Li Fan's eyes fell on Huang Lei, but he said to Wu Ji, "Do you mind if I teach you a lesson?" "You're Li Fan?" Wu Ji looked at Li Fan. "Interesting, you actually came. Big brother." Huang Lei couldn't believe it himself. You actually came to save me? Isn't that obvious? Otherwise, why would I come here? To play mahjong. Li Fan's heroic spirit soared. "I want to see who dares to touch you. Big brother. I'm just a little punk. Is it worth it for you to risk your life for me? Don't mess around." Li Fan said solemnly, "You treat me sincerely, so I will naturally treat you sincerely as well. With Big Brother's words, even if I die today, it's worth it." Huang Lei was really relieved this time. The meaning of his life was probably to follow Li Fan to explore this world. Chapter 103. Clap, clap, clap. Wu Ji clapped his hands. "What a touching scene, but what's the use of this? Li Fan, since you've already got the money, you shouldn't have come here. Since you're here, you can't leave. I'm here to save my brother. What's the meaning of getting the money?" Li Fan was not stupid. He immediately pretended to be stupid. "Friend, I'm not familiar with you. Don't accuse me of something inexplicable. Close the door." Wu Ji did not say anything else, but first snapped his fingers. Someone immediately closed the iron door, locking Li Fan inside the mahjong house. There were a total of 4 tables of people playing mahjong in this mahjong house, adding up to 16 punks. All of them pulled out their axes from under the mahjong table, holding them in their hands, and staring at Li Fan like a tiger watching its prey. "Yo, Hongmen banquet." Li Fan laughed. "That's not right. A Hongmen banquet has to have wine and meat. You guys don't even have a cup of tea, you're just trying to get something without risking anything. We do have wine and meat here, but it's to entertain friends." Wu Ji bluntly said, "To entertain the enemy, there's only an axe. How should I address this friend?" "Wu Ji, the people in the underworld call me Boss Wu." When Wu Ji mentioned his own name, he felt a little proud. "You big idiot, you don't even know our brother's name, yet you dare to come here?" Lina could not help but laugh. "What an idiot, with this kind of conduct, you still want to mingle in the underworld. Aren't you afraid of being beaten to death when you go out? I'm standing in front of you. If you have the ability, come and hit me." Li Fan hooked his finger at Lina. "Brother, he wants me to beat him." Lina could not help but grin. "In my entire life, this is the first time I've heard such a stupid request. Do you think I should beat him or not? Go ahead, give him some color to see." Wu Ji nodded and agreed to Linear's request. Lina grinned and walked towards Li Fan. "Kid, consider yourself unlucky. At such a young age, he dared to call himself the big brother. Today, I'll teach you what it means to act tough." As he spoke, he chopped at Li Fan's arm with his axe. Even though Lina had been spending most of his time with alcohol and women after retiring from the army, he was still physically fit, so his attacks were fast, accurate, and ruthless. However, Li Fan didn't care. At his level, unless it was an enemy like Li Wenjue, he wouldn't take ordinary people seriously. He immediately turned around and dodged Linear's axe. At the same time, he used the force of turning around to kick Lina's chest. Bai Lu kicked the door. When Li Fan saw that Lina wanted to chop Huang Lei, he was already a little angry, so he took this opportunity to vent it out. Pu. Lina suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood as his body flew out for 7 to 8 meters, finally crushing a mahjong table. The 4 legs of the mahjong table were all broken. Lina was lying there with a huge dent in his chest. It was obvious that even his bones had been broken. His mouth kept spitting out blood. Obviously, he was seriously injured. Everyone else was shocked. No one expected that Li Fan's kick would have such terrifying power. Li Fan was also shocked. He seemed to have forgotten that he was already a qualified martial artist. If he were to be ruthless towards ordinary people, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. That kick just now was only 30% of his strength. If it was 100%, perhaps Linear's heart would have been crushed by his kick. If you send him to the hospital earlier, he can still be saved. Although Li Fan was shocked, his face was calm. He retracted his leg and said slowly, "Motherfucker, who are you trying to scare? Do you think this daddy is scared?" Another man with a scar on his face rushed forward with an axe in both hands. He wanted to chop Li Fan into meat paste. Ape-long fist. Li Fan swung his hand and punched the man's arm. Catcher. With a sound, the man's arm was directly fractured. He screamed and knelt on the ground, holding his arm and rolling on the ground. Although Li Fan didn't use his inner strength had already spread throughout his body. Even if he wanted to control his strength, ordinary people wouldn't be able to withstand it after he made his move. Li Fan seemed to understand the purpose of the existence of the genie guards. If martial artists interfered too much with the ordinary people's world, it would indeed have a terrible impact. However, he was already involved in this surging tide and was pushed step by step to this place. Today, his main goal was to save people, not to hurt people. Li Fan slowly took a breath and adjusted his strength. Murong Ying had told him before that in the martial arts, strength was calculated by oxen, tigers, and dragons. 1 dragon was equivalent to 5 tigers, and 1 tiger was equivalent to 5 oxen. A beginner martial artist would roughly have the strength of 1 ox. As for mastery, it would be the strength of 5 oxen. With his current level of mastery, it would be the strength of 9 oxen and 2 tigers. Further up, it would be the strength of 5 tigers. At the peak of perfection, it would be the strength of 9 tigers and 2 dragons. At the Grandmaster level, it would be the strength of 5 dragons to 10 dragons. Murong Ying had said before that she had the strength of 4 dragons and 4 tigers. She was already close to the Grandmaster level. As for his current strength, it would be around the strength of 4 tigers. This was under the situation where he circulated all his true qi. If he didn't circulate all his true qi, an ordinary body would be able to exert the strength of 9 oxen. Thinking about it, how could an ordinary person withstand 9 oxen? Not to mention 9 oxen, even if it was just 1 oxen, that person would be heavily injured. The last time he met Li Wenjue, his strength was slightly weaker. He was probably only about 3 tigers. However, his strength was that he had an invincible golden body. This was the most difficult thing to deal with. As for Guan Wenbao, he had the strength of 4 tigers. However, the difference was that the Guan family's saber technique was suitable for killing enemies, not for close combat. If Guan Wenbao rode on that warhorse called Lisa and fought with him, it would be hard to tell who would win. Seeing Li Fan break a person's bones with 1 punch, the rest of the hooligans were scared. They were not idiots. This guy did not look like a good person. They did not want to lose an arm or a leg. Li Fan's gaze fell on the hooligan closest to him. That guy's axe was already raised above his head. "Big brother, let me peel an apple for you." The gangster's brain worked quickly. He quickly picked up an apple next to him and started peeling it with the axe. He peeled it until it was too horrible to look at. "Boss Wu, do you want to have a peaceful talk?" Li Fan's gaze fell on Wu Ji. The latter actually shivered. "Little brother, your skills are very good." Wu Ji thought of his identity and said, "But as a person, you can't be so ruthless. Being upright is easy to break." "That's right, I admit it." Li Fan spat out a few words through his teeth, "But I hate it more when others ride on my head and shit on me. Chapter 104. You're alone. Even a tiger can't beat a pack of wolves. Wu Ji looked at Li Fan and said disdainfully, "Do you really think they're afraid of you? Go up and chop him. Chop him once. Get 10,000. Chop off one of his hands. Get 100,000. Wu Ji still had some capital in his hands. He used money to smash people, and it did give some people the courage to do so. These hooligans, didn't they do it for money? With the stimulation of money, their eyes turned red. At this moment, in their eyes, Li Fan had become a moving mountain of gold. Chop him to death. Go. A group of hoodlums rushed over with axes in their hands. Li Fan adjusted his strength so that it was about a cow's strength, and then he began to attack. His body sank, his waist slightly bent, his hands formed into claws, and his eyes flashed with fierceness. Tiger strike technique. Although he only had the strength of one bull, but to deal with so many hooligans, Li Fan still had to use some martial art. He lowered his body, like a ferocious tiger descending the mountain. Instead of retreating, he charged towards those hooligans. These hooligans were like wolves and tigers. Each of them wished they could chop Li Fan a few times with their axes, but Li Fan dodged left and right. These hooligans couldn't even get close to him, but Li Fan's attacks were as fast as lightning. Every time his tiger claw scratched those hooligans, a piece of their flesh would be torn off. Although the hooligans were as excited as a berserker, they were no match for Li Fan. In less than 3 minutes, all the hooligans were knocked down by Li Fan. The last hooligan tried to attack Li Fan from behind. His axe chopped towards Li Fan's head. But Li Fan turned around and clawed. His 5 fingers pierced into the hooligan's shoulder. He lifted him up into the air and flung him. Bang! The hooligan's body flew out in a parabola and landed heavily on the mahjong table in front of Wu Ji. The broken pieces of mahjong tiles flew around. Just like Wu Ji's heart, they were all in a mess at the moment. Looking at his subordinates lying on the ground, his heart trembled. Who was this kid? A monster. What kind of big brother did Huang Lei find? He didn't look like he was in the underworld at all. Friend, let's talk. Wu Ji pretended to be calm. He reached into his pocket and took out a pack of cigarettes. Friend, do you smoke? I don't smoke or drink. Li Fan smiled shyly. I don't know if you believe me, but I'm a good student. What a good student. Are good students like this? Friend. You shouldn't be in this underworld, Wu Ji asked. I'm just a student. But since Lei is willing to follow me, I'm willing to protect him. Li Fan helped Huang Lei up. I've let your brothers take care of his injury today. But next time you dare to touch my brother, I won't spare you. Friend. My brother's debt will not be settled like this. Wu Ji didn't dare to speak harshly again. I admit that I can't deal with you. But the 3 major forces of City A can always touch you. Then let them come. I'll take them all. Li Fan's arrogance soared. As long as they have the ability, come. You look down on the 3 major forces. Wu Ji said, no matter how powerful you are, you're just one person. Moreover, you also have a family. If the 3 major forces want to deal with you, it's very easy. My family? Li Fan smiled. Although his parents were alive, they all went to the Maldives. If you're willing to find them for me, I can't wait to thank you. As for his fiancée, there were only a few people in the world who could defeat her. Only a grandmaster would be able to defeat her. So you're alone. No wonder you're so reckless. Wu Ji seemed to understand. But friend, listen to my advice. There are some things that you can't touch. Boss Wu, can we get straight to the point? Li Fan continued to play dumb. You kidnapped my brother, beat him, and even slashed him. What's the reason? Whatever I touch, you just keep talking to me. Are you sick? You really don't know? Wu Ji frowned. Know what? Big brother, he suspects that our recent money is not legitimate. Huang Lei said in Li Fan's ear. Fuck, you really are sick. Li Fan was very angry and scolded Wu Ji. That's the money that I, young master, worked hard to earn from the underground boxing. What's wrong with my brother spending it? I don't even care about it. Why are you worrying about me? Then why does Lei know how to use a boat? If we have nothing to do, why can't we go fishing in the river? Li Fan rolled his eyes. You gangsters sure have a wide range of control. You even care about me fishing. You really need to see a doctor, big brother. You're on your own. Wu Ji still couldn't let go of his face. Li Fan suddenly kicked the axe beside him. The axe instantly flew over and chopped the wall above Wu Ji's head. Wu Ji sucked in a mouthful of cold air. His crotch couldn't help but feel sore. This person. I can't afford to offend him. However, it's not difficult for the three major forces to touch him. These three major forces, which one of them didn't have some powerful fighters? This matter regarding Hu Ergu would definitely not be settled so easily. I'm warning you, next time you dare to provoke me, this axe will chop your head. Li Fan coldly said, quickly send your man to the hospital. If you're late, it'll be too late. With that, he supported Huang Lei and then lifted his foot to kick the shutter door. This iron shutter door was instantly kicked down by Li Fan. Lei, let's go. Millimeter, big brother. The two of them went out of the mahjong house. Li Fan was rarely generous. He called a taxi and sent Huang Lei to the billiard hall. Big brother. Let me make you suffer again. After returning to the billiard hall, Huang Lei kept blaming himself. I'm disappointing. Always giving you trouble. It's not your fault. The billiard hall was also closed. Li Fan sat there and looked at Huang Lei. Since you'll be following me in the future, you should learn some martial arts. My body was hollowed out by wine and women when I was young. Can I do it? Huang Lei couldn't help but ask. Sure, practicing martial arts is to strengthen your body. Li Fan nodded. Your foundation is not too bad. With the breathing technique that I taught you, practice every day. Even if you can't achieve great success, you can still make some achievements. With that, he put on the pose of ape attack. Learn ape attack from me, and I guarantee you'll have the ability to protect yourself in the future. If you meet those punks again, you won't be captured so easily. Okay, big brother, I'll listen to whatever you say. I'll learn from you. Huang Lei nodded. Okay, then let's start tonight. That. How about tomorrow? Why? I'm hungry. I want to eat soy sauce pork first. Fuck off. Chapter 105. Li Fan recuperated for a full 3 days before his body recovered 70 to 80%. However, he wasn't happy at all. After all, there was still Li Wenzhua waiting to ambush him in the dark. The enemy is in the dark while I'm in the light. Li Fan sat in the hospital's intensive care unit and sent Tai Zhu out. He was discussing countermeasures with Bai Lin Luo and Huang Lei. We have to get rid of Li Wenzhua instead. Huang Lei had a lingering fear when he thought of the shocking scene in the van. Li Wenzhua was too dangerous. He was like a ticking time bomb. If they didn't get rid of him, sooner or later he would be dead. We are now besieged on all sides. Bai Lin Luo touched his glasses and thought, in addition to Li Wenzhua, there is also the Red Dragon Gang. They probably have their eyes on us. Therefore, we can't touch the 1.5 million. Without evidence, they won't dare to do anything to us. Last time, Li Fan showed his fist, so they shouldn't play these tricks. But if we let them get the chance, I'm afraid they will kill us. Don't worry. If this thing happens, it will be me and Lei who will bear the responsibility. Li Fan patted Bai Lin Luo's shoulder. We won't drag you into this. You make it sound like I'm the mastermind. Bai Lin Luo smiled shyly. I'm just an ordinary student. Even if I can't accompany you through thick and thin, I can accompany you through thick and thin. But I can't harm you. Li Fan said resolutely, don't worry about the Red Dragon Gang. Let's get rid of Li Wenzhua first. Motherfucker, they kept looking for me. If I don't show my power, they think I'm a sick cat. Big brother, you're really sick now. Fuck off. Huang Lei, this fellow, really touched my sore spot. Big brother. I know you're in a bad mood, but as your little brother, we have to be objective. Huang Lei said hurriedly, we don't know where Li Wenzhua is hiding. City A is so big. How can we find him? We don't need to look for him. Bai Lin Luo pushed up his glasses. Let him take the bait himself. Tell me your opinion. Li Fan felt that Bai Lin Luo had another idea. It's very simple, but I still need your friend's cooperation. Bai Lin Luo's eyes flashed. My friend. Guan Wenbao. Don't mess around. He did it to repay a debt of gratitude. It won't be so easy to find him in the future. Li Fan quickly waved his hand. Here's the key to this plan. Bai Lin Luo said honestly, you're the bait, and here's the hook. Neither of you can be missing. You don't trust me. I can defeat that Li Baihu myself, okay? Li Fan moved his muscles and bones. You see, I'm almost recovered. But you're not in a perfect state, and I don't want any risks in my plan. Bai Lin Luo insisted. After all, this time it must be foolproof. You don't want to let Li Wenjue escape, and let him sneak attack you again and again, right? It's okay to sneak attack you, maybe you can handle it. But what if he sneak attacks the people around you, such as Lin Yuhin? He reminded Li Fan. I've already seen it. That person keeps saying that he's doing it for the good of the world. But when he attacks ordinary people, he doesn't show any mercy. Bai Lin Luo's words undoubtedly sounded an alarm for Li Fan. He was right. When Li Wenjue wanted to kill Huang Lei last time, he didn't show any mercy at all. If he were to hurt Lin Yuhin, or hurt Bai Lin Luo, he didn't dare to say that he could protect them 100%. Okay, then I'll go look for Guan Wenbao tonight. Li Fan sighed. It seemed that he and Guan Wenbao were really fated. However, he was a little embarrassed to ask for help from others over and over again. You'll be discharged tomorrow. Let's set the plan for tomorrow. Bai Lin Luo reminded him again and again, remember, don't let Murongying see you off tomorrow. According to what you said, Li Wenjue should be a little afraid of this chief of martial arts. I need to create the best opportunity for him to make a move. Okay, I got it. Li Fan began to calculate in his mind how to find Guan Wenbao tonight. After sending Bai Lin Luo and Huang Lei away, Li Fan moved his body in the room while thinking about this problem. It was already late at night. Li Fan had to make a plan quickly. Taizhu sat on the bed next to him and continued to knit his sweater. Li Fan coughed twice and said, Taizhu, I'm a little thirsty. Young master, water. Taizhu took out a bottle of mineral water from the cabinet next to him. This was one of the few water that Li Fan could drink. This made Li Fan a little annoyed. In order to keep an eye on him and prevent him from sneaking away, Taizhu specially prepared food and water in the room so that Li Fan wouldn't have a chance to send her away. In this way, Li Fan would have less chance to leave. After all, his body had not fully recovered. He felt a little powerless to fight against Taizhu. No matter what, Taizhu was also a master who had reached the acme of perfection. According to Murongying, she was almost at the level of reaching the next level. Now, she had at least the strength of 4 tigers. In the past, when Taizhu fought with him, she seemed to be lenient. Now that she was eager to protect her master, she might really beat him up. It was not worth it. Li Fan thought for a moment and thought of a way to send her away. Young master, don't worry. In the future, Taizhu will never leave you again. Taizhu said to Li Fan with a red face, I will definitely be the closest protection for young master. Okay. Wait for me to go to the toilet first. Li Fan sat up, and Taizhu directly took out a chamber pot from under her bed. Young master, I've prepared it for you. What the? This works. I want to go to the toilet. It's okay, I have it. Taizhu pulled out a wooden toilet from under the bed. Young master, feel free to use it. Taizhu will not despise you. After you're done, Taizhu will pour it for you. Fuck the tofu. Li Fan was about to collapse. Taizhu, actually, my body is almost recovered. You see, when my friend came during the day, you didn't stare at me, right? That's because I have to give young master face. Taizhu said seriously. Moreover, Taizhu was actually downstairs at that time. If young master jumped down from the window, Taizhu could also carry young master back to the ward immediately. Damn. This guy is too guarded against me. Taizhu, it's not good for you to be like this. I'm your young master, why are you guarding against me like a thief? Because Missy said that young master is very cunning. Taizhu said very honestly, in order to prevent young master from running around, we must strictly guard against him like a thief. Damn. Can't this Murongying teach Taizhu something good? Li Fan looked at the shy Taizhu and suddenly had an idea. Although this was a bit shameless, in order to go out and see Guan Wenbao, this was the only way. Chapter 106. Taizhu. Li Fan got off the bed gently and walked to Taizhu, getting close to her face. Young master, what do you want to do, Taizhu? I find that you are very beautiful. Li Fan's face was getting closer to Taizhu's, and Taizhu's heart was beating fast. Could it be that young master couldn't restrain himself anymore? Aya. Although I'm mentally prepared. But will it hurt young master's body? It's better to let young master be. Seeing that Li Fan was about to get close to her face, Taizhu closed her eyes shyly. But at this moment, Taizhu suddenly felt a gust of wind blowing past her. She waited for a long time, but the young master didn't kiss her. When Taizhu opened her eyes again, the window was already open, and the curtains were still swaying with the wind. But in this ward, there was no sign of Li Fan. Aya, oh no. Taizhu was extremely regretful. Eldest Miss had warned her many times, but she didn't expect to fall into the young master's honey trap. Young master, you can't run far. Taizhu directly jumped out of the window. Just as she jumped out, Li Fan climbed out from under Taizhu's bed. Fuck, it's really a battle of wits and courage. Fortunately, I'm a demon, otherwise, I really can't escape. Li Fan opened the ward door, and a familiar figure stood at the door. That purple cheongsam, decorated with orchids, matched with a pair of long legs, who else could it be but Murongying? Where are you going? Murongying crossed her arms and looked at Li Fan in front of her. Ah, the moon is nice. Wife, how about we go and enjoy the moonlight? You want to run away again? Murongying glared fiercely at Li Fan. It's only been a few days, and you're already running out. The last time you went out, you vomited a mouthful of blood when you came back. Have you forgotten? Hee hee. I have a lot of blood. It's all right to vomit a few mouthfuls. There are still a few basins in my body. Li Fan laughed dryly. The last time he ran out to save Huang Lei, he used his true qi again, so his internal organs were slightly damaged. But after a few days of recuperation, he recovered. As a pure young body, be it his true qi or his body's recovery speed, they were much faster than ordinary people. If you want to leave this place, ask my sword. Murongying said as she pulled out her Luo Ying sword from the scabbard at her waist. This treasured sword was bright and dazzling. Li Fan was depressed. Why did this woman carry this sword everywhere she went? Didn't the police officers stop her? As if seeing Li Fan's confusion, Murongying faintly explained. This is not Luo Ying's sword, it's an ordinary Taiji sword. The blade on it has not been sharpened yet, but my true qi is its blade. With that, Murongying swept horizontally. It clearly did not touch Li Fan, but Li Fan's chest was cut open. Wife. We're all civilized people, why the need to wield a sword and a spear? Li Fan felt a bit of a headache. This Murongying also came to stare at him. How could he run away? No, I must let Bai Linluo's plan proceed perfectly. I must find Guan Wenbao tonight. Li Fan, you're too willful. Murongying ignored Li Fan's interruption and reprimanded, if you do this, the people who care about you will only feel sad. People who care about me. Who cares about me? Of course it's Taizhu. Murongying turned her head, not looking at Li Fan's eyes. After all, she and I are like sisters. I can't bear to let her down. Ah, wife, don't tell me you don't care about me. Why would I care about you? You're not worthy of my care. Murongying avoided his eyes. Look into my eyes and answer me one more time. Why do I have to look at your eyes? It's not nice. Murongying raised her sword and blocked Li Fan's eyes. If you like to look, why don't you look at my sword? How can a sword be as nice as your eyes? Li Fan smiled mischievously. Murongying's body slightly trembled. My eyes. Are they nice? Of course. Li Fan repeatedly nodded. I really can't look enough. Humph. Don't say these sweet words to confuse me. Damn, didn't you ask yourself? Li Fan had the urge to cry. In short, wife, I have something to do, please do me a favor. Sure. Murongying nodded. Ah, you agree? I've never objected, as long as you win against my sword. Murongying held the sword, it agreed, so there's no problem. Murongying, why are you so inflexible? Li Fan was angry. Since you want to fight, fine, I'll fight with you. You have this ambition, I have to look up to you. Murongying smiled, Within 3 moves, if you can win against my sword, I'll let you go. If it's 3 moves, he shouldn't use too much true chi. Fine, remember what you said. Li Fan was overjoyed. Isn't it just an ordinary taiji sword? Watch how I break it. Great sage plucking the stars. Li Fan entered the ape strike technique and struck out with his palm at lightning speed, leaving behind an afterimage as he grabbed the blunt taiji sword in Murongying's hand. But Murongying didn't make any move, just the corner of her mouth rose slightly. Her taiji sword suddenly shot out a formless ripple and spread outward. Sword aura. Li Fan's expression tightened, knowing that he couldn't touch this sword aura with his palm. If he was careless, his entire hand would be lost. He suddenly withdrew his hand, and because of Murongying's sword aura, a few cracks appeared on the door frame. Abnormal. How much of your strength? How much have you recovered? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Right now it's the strength of 7 tigers. Murongying said indifferently, after a period of recovery, I should be able to reach the great heights. Fuck, abnormal. How can I play? Isn't this the same as beating me up? Li Fan was on the verge of collapse, but his competitive spirit was still there. So what if I'm at the great heights? Could it be that I can't win against her edgeless sword? She has sword aura, let me try using my true chi. Li Fan suddenly took a step back, turned his body, and kicked with his right leg. White deer reverse kick. Li Fan's right leg was wrapped with true chi, preparing to attack Murongying's sword. Dang! Like a bell being struck, a muffled sound was heard, and Li Fan's right leg stopped 5 centimeters away from Murongying's sword. Li Fan's true chi and Murongying's sword aura collided, and the two collided, cancelling each other out. Not bad, some growth. Murongying nodded her head, but it's still not enough. With that, her finger touched the sword hilt, and the sword aura exploded even more ferociously. Li Fan's right leg bounced off and kicked the wall beside him, immediately creating a dent in the wall. 1 move left. Li Fan was slightly flustered. Chapter 107. Li Fan took another step back. His hands suddenly pressed on the ground as if his whole body was lying on the ground. At this moment, the image of a toad appeared in Li Fan's mind. His whole body's appearance was almost the same. Following the image of the toad in his imagination, he breathed in and out a few times. Li Fan's aura seemed to have changed. Murongying was slightly stunned. The Li Fan in front of her seemed to have turned into a huge toad. Opening his mouth, he seemed to be able to swallow the world. Murongying quickly rubbed her eyes. It was still Li Fan lying there. What is this? Heaven-swallowing toad? My fiancé has turned into a toad. This is absolutely impossible. This can only mean one thing. In this instant, Li Fan and his martial arts have become one, reaching the most perfect harmony. Who? Li Fan suddenly took a deep breath. The oxygen in the room seemed to have entered his mouth, causing his brain to become even more excited. His blood flowed faster and his physical strength became stronger. Li Fan suddenly moved. His whole body bounced towards Murongying. Open. Although Murongying was surprised, her reaction was very fast. She immediately used the sword as a medium to release the sword chi in her body. The sword chi waves rushed out in all directions, vibrating like ripples, trying to block Li Fan's attack. Li Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Both of his hands gathered together. The true chi in his body gathered on top of his hands. Golden toad spitting pearl. Li Fan condensed his true chi into a ball and directly shot it out. This ball instantly hit Murongying's sword chi. Li Fan's golden toad spitting pearl was condensed 10 times more true chi. It was very strong, just like a real cannonball. Even Murongying had no way to completely dissolve this chi bead in a short time. Dang! A minute later, the chi bead finally collided with Murongying's sword. The long sword immediately broke. Murongying leaned to the side and dodged the chi bead, causing it to hit the wall behind her in an instant. Boom! A crater with a radius of 1 meter was blasted into the wall, and it was covered in spiderweb cracks. It was extremely terrifying. This is golden toad spitting pearls. Murongying seemed a little surprised. She turned her head and looked at Li Fan. How did you comprehend this move? After all, I am only 19 years old. Li Fan clenched his fists. There are infinite possibilities. My dear wife, shouldn't we fulfill the promise we made before? Murong Ying took a step to the side. Suit yourself. Li Fan made a victory sign, put on his uniform, and was about to walk out. Wait a moment. Murong Ying suddenly stopped Li Fan. What's wrong? Are you regretting it? As the leader of the martial arts world, you actually don't keep your word. I always keep my word, Murong Ying said and clapped her hands. Immediately, a bodyguard walked over from the side and pushed a clothes rack. Although I don't know what you are going to do, my man can't always wear the school uniform when he goes out. Murong Ying put her hand on the clothes rack. Choose a set and put it on. Fuck, I feel like I'm being taken care of. Li Fan looked at the clothes on the clothes rack. They seemed to be expensive. You are going out to do something. How can you always wear the school uniform? Murong Ying reminded Li Fan, no matter when, you must pay attention to your clothes. All right. Li Fan could only nod. On this point, Murong Ying and Lin Yuhin coincidentally agreed. Li Fan did not have good taste. He chose a suit that looked the most low-key. He wore a shirt inside and matched it with a suit. When Li Fan changed his clothes, Murong Ying's eyes could not help but light up. As the saying goes, clothes make the man. Usually, when Li Fan wore the school uniform, it was hard to tell whether he was beautiful or ugly. It just felt like he was very energetic. But today, Li Fan changed into a suit. Coupled with his increasingly strong body and unique temperament of a martial artist, he looked a little handsome. Take root in the tie. Murong Ying chose a red tie from the rack and personally put it on Li Fan. Smelling the fragrance of Murong Ying's body, Li Fan really had a feeling that the two of them were already married. Your move just now was really good. After tying the tie for Li Fan, Murong Ying suddenly said softly, remember that feeling. Maybe it will surprise my father. Ah, really? Murong Ying rarely praised people. When she said that, Li Fan was a little happy. But it's just a little. The rest, you work hard. The master leads the way, but the cultivation depends on the individual. What Murong Ying did was to point the way for Li Fan. What he could achieve next would depend on himself. If next time I meet you, Murong Ying seemed to think of something and finally reminded Li Fan, don't be afraid. If you can't do it, just kiss her. What the hell? Murong Ying actually proposed such a shameless idea. Young master, where are you? Taiju's voice seemed to be calling from afar. Let's go. Murong Ying said softly, I will help you talk to Taiju. Okay, see you at home. It was getting late. Li Fan didn't stay any longer. He immediately jumped and ran out of the hospital. According to the time, today should be the opening day of Su Chen's gambling boat. As long as I go to the gambling boat, I should be able to find Guan Wenbao. Li Fan went out of the hospital and ran all the way. Taking advantage of the night, he rushed to the edge of Songjiang. However, after arriving here, he was a little surprised. Because today's Songjiang was different from usual. The gambling boat didn't dock, but it was a few hundred meters away from the dock. What the hell? Li Fan was a bit baffled. Shouldn't today be the day of the underground boxing? How can the guests board the boat when it's so far away? Could it be that there is a surprise inspection from above? Li Fan didn't have time to think too much. He took a branch from the tree next to him and threw it into the river, letting the branch move along the river. At the same time, Li Fan also ran a few steps, then jumped up and landed on the branch lightly. The ancients had Bodhidharma crossing the river on a reed. Today, there was Li Fan's treading on a branch. Li Fan named his internal strength as the 7 Heroes record. Now that he had practiced it to the 4th stage, this little bit of Qigong was nothing to him. With the help of this branch, he easily boarded the gambling boat and landed on the deck. It seemed to be no different from usual. Such a big cruise ship, but there was no one on the deck. It was like a ghost ship. Li Fan was careful to lighten his footsteps, and silently sneaked into the cabin. Pa. As soon as he entered the cabin, Li Fan heard a strange sound as if someone was setting off firecrackers. What's going on? Is there a gunfight? Li Fan felt strange and followed the sound. Chapter 108. Usually, the club's arena should be very lively, full of roars and curses. But today, when Li Fan approached here, he didn't hear that ear-piercing noise, only the sound of pa pa pa. Could it be that someone is shooting? This evil thought flashed through Li Fan's mind, but he quickly extinguished it. That kind of thing can't make such a big noise, otherwise people would be sent flying. Who can make such a big noise? The elephant is having a pa pa pa. At the door, a guard was smoking with his head down, and at the same time, he looked at the phone in his hand with a serious face, looking like he was reviewing international news or something. Li Fan stood in the corner, stretched out his hand, and held a gold ball in his hand. This thing is Murong Ying's hidden weapon. Li Fan is also embarrassed to sell it, so he used these gold balls as a hidden weapon. Throwing a hidden weapon also has a method. Li Fan didn't learn these methods. His method of throwing a hidden weapon is very rough, but he has 11 years of true chi, so he can be willful. This gold ball was thrown by Li Fan, and it hit the guard's forehead. With a bang, the guard didn't even have the time to groan, and fell straight to the ground. Seeing that you are too tired, take a nap, no need to thank me. Li Fan took back the gold ball. This is all real gold and silver, although he can't spend it, losing it is also distressing. No, it is not distressing, it is distressing. He dragged the guard to the side, leaned against the door, and through the crack, looked at the arena inside. As Li Fan expected, today there is no audience in the arena, only some of Su Chen's men, standing on both sides, as if it is a torture chamber. Su Chen, the big brother who was usually awe-inspiring, was now respectfully standing beside a woman. The woman looks very young, probably less than 20 years old, wearing a black cowboy clothing, and a pair of delicate leather boots. She was beautiful, but her eyes were filled with malice. Li Fan could not help but guess the identity of this beautiful girl. For Su Chen to be so respectful, she must be someone even more powerful. When he looked at the center of the field, a wave of anger rose from his liver and burned to the top of his head. Because Guan Wenbao was hung in the middle of the field, there were two burly men on the side, also bare-chested, holding whips in their hands. They kept whipping Guan Wenbao, causing Guan Wenbao's body to be lacerated and bleeding. Stop! Li Fan exploded at that moment. No matter what, Guan Wenbao was his friend. How could he be treated like this? With a white deer reverse kick, he kicked the big iron door. The iron door was immediately kicked away and smashed to the ground with a clang, startling everyone in the hall. But these people seemed to be professional hooligans. When they heard the movement, they immediately pulled out a 7-hole knife from the scabbard at their waist. The shape of the 7-hole knife was somewhat like a Nepalese army knife, with 7 holes on it. This kind of knife was very vicious. The holes on it could bring air into the human body, causing more serious damage to the human body. Li Fan roughly counted, there were a total of 12 burly men, each of whose 7-hole knives were exactly the same, standard issue. Looking at the way they held the knife, they were very skilled. They were definitely people who played with knives all year round. Brother Li? When Su Chen saw Li Fan, he was obviously stunned for a moment. How come it's you? Li Fan? Guan Wenbao was also surprised. He had been whipped so many times and was dripping with blood, but he was still unyielding and spoke with confidence. Su Chen, you really surprised this lady. That beautiful young girl also saw Li Fan. Her crescent eyebrows raised, and the corner of her mouth slightly rose. I didn't expect that in this place of yours, there would be such an unruly person. You're right, I never follow other people's rules. Li Fan clenched his fist, immediately release Guan Wenbao, otherwise I will smash this broken boat of yours. My God, what a big tone. The beautiful young girl stepped on her beautiful leather boots. Her tone was somewhat unkind. This lady has lived for 19 years, but this is the first time I see such a hothead like you. Su Chen, can you explain? Big miss. This person is called Li Fan. He was the champion of the black boxing tournament a few days ago. Su Chen quickly said, he is young and not very sensible. Please don't lower yourself to his level. I will send him away. Thank you, Boss Su, for your kindness. This Su Chen's character, Li Fan had seen it for himself. He is quite good to him. There is no need for him to keep arguing with him. But, if you don't take Guan Wenbao away today, I will not leave. Brother. The matter here is very complicated. You better leave quickly. Su Chen really doesn't want to provoke Li Fan, this malefic star. It can be said that he can't afford to offend Li Fan. But this big miss, even more so. Her name is Liu Xinnan. She is the Red Dragon Group's big miss. This big miss has no other hobbies. Her family let her learn the 4 arts, but she likes to be a delinquent girl. But in the underworld, who doesn't call her big miss? Not only the Red Dragon Society, even the boss of the yellow-clothed group recognizes her as his goddaughter. She is also the fiancée of the young master of the Vanguard, Yang Ruining. With so many strong connections, she is doing very well in a city. Listen, listen. Liu Xinnan sneered in disdain, your tone is getting more and more arrogant. Little friend, your hair is not even fully grown yet, but you have quite the guts. My hair is not fully grown yet, but your chest is not developed yet. Li Fan retorted, how dare you be so presumptuous in an airport? You want to die. What Liu Xinnan hates the most is people mocking her chess. She is just a little slow in developing. If you provoke me, the Red Dragon Society will not let you have a good time. Red Dragon Society? You are a member of the Red Dragon Society? This name is quite awesome. It is also one of the 3 major forces that Wu Ji mentioned before. Red Dragon Society, also known as the Red Dragon Gang. Red Dragon is the name of their group. It can be said that they have influence in both the underworld and the underworld in a city. Previously, Su Chen said that this ship is under the protection of the Red Dragon Society. It seems like he is not lying. Your Excellency, quickly leave. Don't worry about me. Guan Wenbao is a little anxious. Your Excellency and I are just acquaintances. I don't need Your Excellency to stand up for me. That's troublesome. Li Fan laughed and began to move his muscles. I like to meddle in other people's business. The more you don't let me meddle, the more interested I am in meddling. Interesting. Liu Xinnan stood up and walked to Guan Wenbao's side. She personally picked up the whip and ruthlessly whipped Guan Wenbao. This whip hit Guan Wenbao's face, leaving a bloody mark on Guan Wenbao's square face. This lady likes to teach him a lesson, so what? She provocatively looked at Li Fan, which really angered Li Fan. Chapter 109. This woman really has a vicious heart. She's so beautiful, but her heart is like a snake and scorpion. Here's my dog. I'm disciplining my own dog, what do you have to do with it? With that, Liu Xinnan made Guan Wenbao kneel down, and then stepped on the back of Guan Wenbao's head with her beautiful leather boots. See? He's willing to be my dog. I can beat my own dog however I want. Another whip lashed on Guan Wenbao's back, making him bleed. This is too much. Li Fan is about to explode. This woman, how could she be born with such a black heart? Too much. I'll ask him for you. Liu Xinnan put down her foot and hooked Guan Wenbao's chin with her hand. Do you think I'm too much? Not at all. Miss is right. Guan Wenbao's lips are full of blood. He murmured, it's my fault, I shouldn't have disobeyed Miss's order. You see, he thinks he's right. Why are you meddling in other people's business? Liu Xinnan's eyes are full of provocation. Li Fan sneered 3 times. Fine, 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 now it's just me who's in a bad mood. Today, I must spank your butt. Hee. Liu Xinnan covered her mouth and chuckled. Death is imminent, but you're still so perverted. Every year, I don't know how many hotheads like you die. Let's see who's going to die today. Li Fan is already angry. Today, young master will take care of this matter. Chop him. Liu Xinnan waved her hand. This kind of person is an eyesore. A person like you, when you die, will stink. As soon as Miss gives the order, the surrounding professional thugs immediately carry their 7 whole knives and run toward Li Fan. Su Chen sighs and can only take 2 steps back. When the gods fight, he can only hide. Dear strike. Li Fan took a deep breath and felt power flowing into his legs. For a buck, apart from the horns on its head, Its long legs were also its most powerful weapons. At this moment, all of Li Fan's martial arts had fused into his legs. His hands were like antlers. A hatchet man had already rushed in front of Li Fan, the 7-hole knife stabbing toward Li Fan's lower abdomen. Li Fan grabbed the thug's arm with both of his hands. It was as if he was using antlers to clamp the thug's arm. The thug's arm could not move at all. At the same time, Li Fan grabbed the thug's arm and pulled him forward. His knee followed and hit the thug's chest. Pu. The thug spat out a mouthful of acid and knelt on the ground, unable to get up for a long time. Another hatchet man followed up, and the 7-hole knife slashed at Li Fan's head. Li Fan raised both of his hands and grabbed the thug's arm again. Then he pulled down, pressing down on the thug's body, and lowered his head. At the same time, Li Fan's right leg kicked the thug's face like a scorpion's tail, knocking him out. Li Fan used his hands to support himself on the ground, turned his body upside down, and spread his legs apart. His arms carried the strength from his waist, and his legs created a whirlwind, immediately kicking the 3 surrounding thugs away. "Huh!" Liu Xinnan seemed a little surprised, and her beautiful eyes widened. Li Fan followed with a forward roll and stood up again. His legs rotated, and 2 whipping kicks were sent out, kicking 2 more thugs to the ground. In just one move, Li Fan had already sent out 7 thugs. The remaining thugs did not dare to rush forward. They surrounded Li Fan and kept circling around, looking for an opportunity to attack. "No wonder you're so arrogant, so you're a martial artist," Liu Xinnan said, and suddenly picked up a delicate crossbow from the table beside her, and shot a bolt at Li Fan. But who was Li Fan? He suddenly kicked the 7-hole knife on the ground. The 7-hole knife spun and flew out, splitting Liu Xinnan's bolt in half. The 7-hole knife continued to spin, and Guan Wenbao suddenly stood up, pulled out a beautiful Mongolian knife from Liu Xinnan's waist, and slashed at the spinning knife. Dang! Golden sparks appeared, and Liu Xinnan's crisis was resolved. Li Fan slightly frowned, and Liu Xinnan touched her small chest, and then smiled. "How is it? This is called a loyal dog protecting its master, did you see it?" With that, Liu Xinnan loaded another bolt, and then shot at Guan Wenbao's calf. Poochie. This bolt sank into Guan Wenbao's calf, but Guan Wenbao only frowned, he did not even make a sound. "I can't shoot you, but can't I shoot him?" With that, she took out another bolt. "Where should I shoot this time?" "How's the eye? Go die." Li Fan could not bear it anymore. This woman is a madwoman. He threw a golden marble straight at Liu Xinnan's eye. Guan Wenbao waved the Mongolian knife again, deflecting Li Fan's hidden weapon. "Big brother, don't mess around. I'm helping you." Li Fan is helpless. Is this Guan Wenbao crazy? "Sir, I'm very sorry." Guan Wenbao cupped his fist at Li Fan. "But Miss is indeed my master now. Even if I die, I will protect master's safety." "Damn it, you're really stubborn." Hee, what a good dog." Liu Xinnan patted Guan Wenbao's cheek with satisfaction. "Not bad, later I'll reward you with 2 more pieces of meat." "Enough." Li Fan was furious. "Poisonous snake woman, if you have the ability, fight me one-on-one." What kind of ability is bullying Guan Wenbao? "This is my ability." Liu Xinnan opened her hands. "Everything here is my ability. Who told me to be born with a golden spoon in my mouth? If I want to kill you, I don't even need to do it myself. Guan Wenbao, go kill him." Miss. What, you want to disobey orders again?" Liu Xinnan coldly snorted. "Don't forget, who helped you redeem the escort agency. Guan Wenbao, your identity is my dog. Don't tell me you want to break the contract." "I don't dare." Guan Wenbao lowered his head. "I swore to be Miss Loyal Dog for life. Men, give him a knife." Liu Xinnan gave an order, and a few thugs immediately walked over. 2 of them helped Guan Wenbao put on the armor, while the other handed the Yangyu knife to Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He suddenly waved the knife and cut off the arrow on his calf, then pointed the knife at Li Fan. "Sir, please enlighten me." "You." Li Fan was in a dilemma. This Guan Wenbao, can't he turn his head around? Stubborn, too stubborn. "Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me." Guan Wenbao shouted 3 times in a row, then leaped up. With endless aggressiveness, he ruthlessly chopped down at Li Fan's head. Chapter 110. The Guan family's saber technique was indeed domineering. Li Fan stood there and looked up at Guan Wenbao. He felt as if a god of war was standing in front of him and chopping down with his saber. "Come at me." Li Fan had no other way. There was only one way to deal with Guan Wenbao. He had to beat him to the ground first. Golden Toad Spitting Pearl. Li Fan stretched out his hands and gathered the true qi in his body. Then he gathered it together and shot it towards the top of his head. A white qi pearl blossomed from Li Fan's hands and hit the edge of Guan Wenbao's crescent blade. Li Fan had trained the 7 Heroes Force to the 4th stage. The power contained within it was not ordinary, but Guan Wenbao's decisive righteousness was also trained to the point of perfection. It was extraordinary. This saber seemed to have a red glow on it as it collided with Li Fan's qi pearl. Li Fan's sleeves were torn apart by the qi strength. It was a pity for his suit. Guan Wenbao's saber blade was slightly curled. Finally, it was flicked away, causing Guan Wenbao to take 2 steps back. The qi pearl went straight to the top of their heads and hit the ceiling, breaking the huge crystal chandelier. It fell straight down and smashed towards the two of them. If they were ordinary people, they would have been smashed into meat paste. Fortunately, they were 2 martial artists. Guan Wenbao raised his saber and cut the chandelier in half. More fragments flew towards Li Fan. Immortal crane flaps wings. Li Fan's hands kept slapping and sent the fragments flying to the side. There were so many fragments but not a single one could get close to Li Fan's body. Liu Xinnan watched from the side without even blinking. This was a battle between an expert who was on par with Guan Wenbao. This was a duel between martial artists. "Guan Wenbao!" Li Fan shouted and his qi strength filled his body again. "Wake up, idiot!" As he spoke, he leaped up and pounced towards Guan Wenbao. "Sir, please give it your all." Guan Wenbao swung his crescent blade horizontally with a ferocious glint, as if he wanted to split Li Fan into 2. However, Li Fan lowered his body and slid along the ground. Black Toad Crossing Water. Guan Wenbao swung his saber in the air, but he was relentless. The blade changed direction and slashed down at Li Fan. However, Li Fan suddenly snapped his fingers and the spirit monkey escaped. His body strangely disappeared in front of Guan Wenbao. When he reappeared, he was a meter away from the ground, and his feet stepped on the back of Guan Wenbao's saber. Bang! Guan Wenbao's crescent blade was stepped into the ground. Following that, Li Fan stepped on the shaft of the crescent blade and charged towards Guan Wenbao. "It's his turn. Wake up." Originally, he was going to use the Black Tiger heart-gouging move to grab Guan Wenbao's face. This time, not only could he crush Guan Wenbao's eyes, but he could also pierce through his cheeks. However, when his hand was in front of Guan Wenbao, Li Fan suddenly retracted it and changed to the ape-strike spirit monkey jumping up the tree. He moved his body sideways and kicked Guan Wenbao's chest like a cannonball. Thud, thud, thud. Guan Wenbao took 3 steps back and finally stepped on the ground to stabilize his body. Trash. Liu Xinnan was very unhappy. "Bring his horse out." As soon as he finished speaking, a Fergana horse galloped its iron hooves and charged into the arena. Lisa was very fast. Guan Wenbao jumped and landed on the horse's back. At the same time, he took out a telescopic blade from the saddle with his left hand and a blade with his right hand. He quickly assembled them together and rushed in front of Li Fan with a sweep. Total annihilation. This time, it indeed had the momentum of total annihilation. This time, Li Fan could also see that with the warhorse, Guan Wenbao's martial arts had increased by more than 10%. After all, he was a warhorse family. Li Fan couldn't help but admire him. But now was not the time to admire him. It was a battle. Golden Toad Spitting Pearl. An energy pearl exploded from Li Fan's palm and fiercely slammed it on the ground. Boom! The body of the ship started to shake, and cracks appeared on the ground. The warhorse couldn't stand steadily and staggered. Guan Wenbao's broadsword also lost its balance and did not hit Li Fan. Again, Guan Wenbao had been practicing horsemanship all year round. It could be said that his control of balance on the horse was better than on the ground. Lisa, the warhorse, also had a telepathic connection with him. It raised its front hooves and jumped to the side. At the same time, Guan Wenbao whipped the horse and galloped along the arena, as if looking for the next opportunity to attack. Li Fan was calm. Guan Wenbao's warhorse was running very fast, but in his eyes, it seemed to be slower. He suddenly shot an energy pearl into the distance. This energy pearl drew an arc and smashed on the ground. Boom! The energy immediately exploded, but Guan Wenbao had already pulled the reins and let Lisa jump to the side. So agile. Li Fan could not help but admire this person's horsemanship. Let's see if your horse is faster or my deer is faster. Li Fan's body pressed down, and then his legs kicked fiercely. He actually ran after Guan Wenbao's warhorse. This idiot, is he going to use his own legs to catch up with a Fergana horse? Liu Xinnan could not help but laugh, but soon, she could not laugh anymore. Deer scamper. The speed of a wild deer was also amazing. Li Fan's legs stepped on the ground and he ran at high speed. He actually managed to catch up with Guan Wenbao's speed. Your kung fu is indeed amazing. Guan Wenbao could not help but praise. If there's a next life, I really hope to be friends with you. As he said that, he suddenly pulled the reins and the warhorse raised its front hooves high. Then, Guan Wenbao's crescent moon blade slashed sideways. Mad Dragon goes to sea. This slash was Guan Wenbao's ultimate skill. Now that it was executed on the warhorse, it was even more powerful. Flame. In Li Fan's eyes, there seemed to be a flame burning. This was the blade energy of Guan Wenbao's crescent moon blade. It was a flame created by friction with the air. If he did not do anything, Li Fan's body might really be cut in half. Guan Wenbao's eyes were filled with determination. After this battle, he would also end his own life. This way, he would return the favor to Missy. Your Excellency, on the road to hell, I'll accompany you. Guan Wenbao shouted along with the crescent moonblade, but Li Fan's eyes lit up. At that moment, it was as if a giant bear had stood up behind Li Fan. Guan Wenbao was slightly shocked. Li Fan was extremely calm. His body and mind were once again one with his kung fu. Bear strike. Bear. Mount. Army. At this moment, Li Fan's body seemed to have endless strength. He felt like he was a giant bear in armor. Looking at the crescent moonblade, Li Fan directly stretched out his hands and grabbed the shaft of Guan Wenbao's blade. Bang! The blade was less than a centimeter away from Li Fan's waist, but it was forcefully stopped. A strong force spread out in all directions. Chapter 111. The shockwave that Guan Wenbao created was definitely heaven-defying. The surrounding ground was shaken to the point that layers upon layers of cracks appeared. His strength was evident, and it was shocking to the eye. If not for Li Fan comprehending the true meaning of the Seven Heroes' Fist at the last moment, he might have really been defeated. Under the bear cavalry state, Li Fan's physical strength and defense were greatly enhanced. He grabbed Guan Wenbao's crescent blade and lifted both his arms. He actually lifted Guan Wenbao off the horse. Lisa was anxious to protect her master. She immediately turned around, raised her hind hooves and kicked at Li Fan's chest. But Li Fan just stood there and ate Lisa's two sturdy hooves. Bang! Li Fan's body shook slightly, but his true chi wrapped around his body and protected him. It was because Lisa's legs were sore and she almost fell to the ground. Fall. Li Fan swung both of his hands and smashed Guan Wenbao heavily onto the ground again. Guan Wenbao was born with great strength, but this was the first time he lost to someone else in terms of strength. Bang! With a loud sound, Guan Wenbao heavily smashed onto the ground. The armor on his body was broken into pieces and scattered to the side. Useless. Really useless. Liu Xinnan was so angry that she stomped her feet. Li Fan couldn't help but sigh. This girl's chest was flat. She didn't even have a sense of beauty. As for Guan Wenbao, he was injured and probably wouldn't be able to get up for a while. Venomous woman, can you fight me one-on-one now? Li Fan crooked his finger at Liu Xinnan. But Liu Xinnan snorted, you're still far from it. Didn't you just defeat a dog like me? What's so great about that? As she said that, She sized up Li Fan. Why don't you be my dog? I can see that you're quite strong and should be able to protect me. Dream on. Li Fan snorted coldly. I don't want to be a dog for a vicious woman. Who's the scorpion lady? I have a name. Liu Xinnan pointed at her own nose. Remember my name, Liu Xin-nan. Scorpion lady, let go of Guan Wenbao. Li Fan berated loudly. Bastard. Don't you understand Chinese? Liu Xinnan said angrily. You're so disobedient. You're not even qualified to be a dog. And that Guan Wenbao, trash. You're not fit to be my dog. In that case, why don't the two of you listen to my advice? Su Chen felt that it was time to say a few words. Otherwise, things might get out of hand if they continued. Sure, let's hear what you have to say. For the time being, Liu Xinnan also didn't know what to do. This Li Fan indeed had some ability to defeat Guan Wenbao. This time, she didn't bring any experts with her and actually suffered a loss. Boss Su, if you have anything to say, feel free to say it. Li Fan also didn't want to make things difficult for Su Chen. This Guan Wenbao's family was in dire straits. It was eldest Miss who spent money to help Guan Wenbao redeem his family's escort agency. Su Chen said, that's why Guan Wenbao sold himself to eldest Miss. Since eldest Miss dislikes him, why don't you redeem Guan Wenbao? Sure, how much? 2 million. Su Chen raised 2 fingers, causing Li Fan to feel slightly embarrassed. Can you give me a discount? Humph, I won't give you a single cent. Liu Xinnan curled her lips. You poor ghost, if you have the guts, then compensate me at the original price. I only have 1,500,000. Li Fan was indeed short of money. This 1,500,000 was all he had. I didn't expect that a poor ghost like you would have some pocket money. Liu Xinnan curled her lips. Sure, then I'll give you a chance. As long as you do one thing for me, I'll give you a discount of 500,000. How about it? Sir. Guan Wenbao slowly climbed up and persuaded Li Fan. No need to do so much for me. Just stay here. Li Fan rolled his eyes. Whether I help you or not, it's up to me. That's right. This is an opportunity that this miss is giving you. You must cherish it. Liu Xinnan smiled again. If you help me beat someone up, this miss will deduct 500,000 from you. If I help you beat someone up, I'll deduct the money. Li Fan bargained. You wish. That person isn't worth 2 million. 500,000 is just because this miss is happy. I'm overestimating him. Liu Xinnan rolled her eyes. Are you going to do it or not? Forget it. Fine, I'll do it. For Guan Wenbao, even if it's a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, Li Fan would still rush in. Hee, good. Since you've agreed, then I can temporarily lend you Guan Wenbao. Liu Xinnan happily clapped her hands. That 1,500,000, just remember to give it to Su Chen. With that, she suddenly took out a phone from her pocket and threw it to Li Fan. You're still giving me a phone? Dream on. This is your contact number. Liu Xinnan proudly said, when this miss finds you, you must come out immediately and beat someone up for me. I'm not your bodyguard. H, of course you're not my bodyguard. You're just this miss pet. Liu Xinnan seemed to have thought of something and was very happy. Although it's only a one-time use, it should be of some use. Venomous woman. I'm Liu Xinnan. Venomous woman. Li Fan really did not have a good impression of this woman. What the hell? What kind of upbringing did she have to be able to raise such a vile woman? Remember to keep it on all day. I don't have the patience to wait for someone. With that, Liu Xinnan turned around and left. No matter what, it's good that miss agreed. Su Chen held out his hand to Li Fan. Brother, no discord, no concord. It's fate that brought us together. Li Fan shook hands with him, and at the same time, Su Chen ordered the injured man to be carried away. Old Guan, let me treat your injury. Li Fan and Su Chen exchanged some pleasantries. After all, he had caused a scene here, and the host was not angry, which was already giving him face. Li Fan sat down cross-legged, while Guan Wenbao was still declining. Don't trouble yourself, sir. Cut the crap. Li Fan was a little annoyed. There were a lot of things to do tonight, and he had to beat up Guan Wenbao. Fortunately, Guan Wenbao's beating was not in vain. At least he had temporarily redeemed himself. Boss Su, I'm really sorry to disturb you today. Li Fan still had to be polite to Su Chen, but Su Chen waved his hand. Don't mention it. I'll treat you as my brother from now on. Su Chen wanted to pat Li Fan's shoulder, but he was afraid of being hurt by their internal force, so he hesitated. I've offended you in the past. I'll treat Boss Su to a drink some other day. Brother, you're too polite. It's not the right time to talk, let's talk some other day. You can use this place as you like, and you can come and go as you please in the gambling boat. I'll tell my brothers. Thank you, Su Chen. After Su Chen left, Guan Wenbao suddenly opened his eyes and said to Li Fan, Sir, don't trust Su Chen too much. He's too shrewd. Chapter 112. At noon the next day, Li Fan had already cleaned up and was ready to leave the hospital. He was really tired after a night of tossing and turning last night. Especially the battle with Guan Wenbao, it could be said that he had consumed a lot of true qi. After a sleep, although he had almost recovered, there was no feeling of fullness, which made Li Fan somewhat uncomfortable. A doctor walked into Li Fan's ward, but Li Fan knew that this guy was not a doctor, but Bai Linluo in a white coat. Although Bai Linluo was thin, he was not short. When he wore a white coat and a mask, no one could tell that he was a high school student. All of this was a normal procedure. In a while, Bai Linluo would personally send Li Fan out of the hospital. His existence was to send Taizhu and Murongying away. Only when these two women were not around him, Li Fan would be able to lure out Li Wenjue behind the scenes. This bastard hid like a mouse. If he didn't give him some delicious food, he wouldn't come out at all. And the role played by Huang Lei was also very simple. He was responsible for stalking a cart selling roasted sausages downstairs. The patient still needs to go through some procedures to be discharged. Please go downstairs to help the patient. Ah, haven't we already done it? Taizhu was stunned for a moment. There are some follow-up procedures, said Bai Linluo expressionlessly. Well, since you said so. Murongying nodded and was about to go downstairs with Taizhu to go through the procedures, but a girl suddenly opened the door of the ward and timidly glanced at Li Fan. Ah, you are really here. Lin Yuhin had a ponytail today and wore a very white dress, which looked very cute and playful. Li Fan's head immediately swelled up. This girl, why did she suddenly run over? I've been looking for you for a long time before I realized that you were in this ward. This was the first time Lin Yuhin had been to a place like this, so she was a little surprised. Murongying raised her eyebrows and looked at Lin Yuhin again. I heard that you were discharged today, so I came to pick you up. Hey, Murong-sensei. Why are you here too? Lin Yuhin was surprised to see Murongying here. Although Murongying was the school's director, the students usually called her teacher. Taizhu, go downstairs and do the paperwork. Murongying seemed to be interested. She waved her hand and asked the tall and strong Taizhu to go downstairs. Seeing Taizhu's appearance, Lin Yuhin was obviously a little scared. She subconsciously walked behind Li Fan, pulled his sleeve and said, Li Fan. Who is that? He looks so fierce, that's my housekeeper. Murongying crossed her arms and looked at Lin Yuhin. This should be the school's top classmate Lin. Why are you here? Because Li Fan was injured because of me, Sensei Murong. Lin Yuhin hurriedly explained. On the other hand, Sensei Murong, why are you here? Because I'm his fiancé. The corner of Murongying's mouth slightly rose. Lin Yuhin was immediately stunned. Li Fan was also stunned. Motherfucker, it's messed up, it's all fucking messed up. What's wrong with Murongying today? What happened to being low-key? What happened to not revealing her identity? Fiancé. Even if Lin Yuhin had an IQ of 140, she was also stunned at this moment. What the hell is going on? How could Li Fan have a fiancé out of nowhere? Moreover, it's a great beauty like Murongying. Didn't he say that he wanted to chase after Murongying? What the hell is going on? Lin Yuhin, we're only fiancé in name. Don't be scared. Li Fan was afraid that Lin Yuhin would leak this matter out, so he hurriedly explained, Actually, we don't have any substantial relationship. Don't misunderstand and don't tell anyone. How is there no substantial relationship? Murong Ying somewhat proudly touched her flat belly. I'm already pregnant with your child. What? Lin Yuhin nearly exploded. Pregnant with child? You guys. Did. Lin Yuhin stuttered. Li Fan immediately clarified. Stop messing around. At most, we've only kissed. Only kissed. Lin Yuhin seemed to be relieved, but very quickly, she became unhappy again. Even if it's just kissing. I'm a little uncomfortable. Murong Ying and Li Fan. The two of them are actually fiancé. Then what should I do? No. Lin Yuhin, what are you thinking? What relationship do the two of them have with you? Why are you so worried? That's right, I'm helping Li Fan to re-establish his three views. He's so young, and he's already engaged to someone when he's still studying. This is not proper. This is a mental illness. That's right. I'm a qualified psychiatrist. I have to treat him. I have a great responsibility. I must not lose in the battle of treatment. Lin Yuhin secretly encouraged herself. At this time, Murong Ying began to ask her to leave. Classmate Lin, you can go back now. I'll take care of him. Teacher Murong, no matter what, Li Fan was injured because of me. As a classmate and a good friend, I should naturally take him out of the hospital. Lin Yuhin raised her head as if she was issuing a challenge. Oh. Murong Ying seemed to be smiling. It was unknown if it was a light smile or a cold smile. In any case, from Li Fan's point of view, it wasn't a good smile. If it's Li Fan, naturally I, as his fiancé, will take him out of the hospital. As she said, her gaze fell on Li Fan. Back to our warm home, right, husband? This husband made Lin Yuhin feel extremely uncomfortable. What's going on? Why do I feel so uncomfortable? It must be because the air in the hospital isn't that good. Teacher Murong, you're not legally recognized as husband and wife. It's not right for you to call me that. Lin Yuhin said unconvinced. Moreover, Li Fan is still a high school student. Moreover, he's going to take the college entrance examination next year. He shouldn't be exposed to marriage so early. This will affect his future. Classmate Lin, I can feel your concern for your classmate. Murong Ying lightly said, but my man's future, I naturally have the final say. He has hands and feet. He's also a man. Why does he need a woman like you to have the final say? Lin Yuhin became even more unhappy. Because he's the father of my child. He must take responsibility. Forget it. Don't you have any physiological knowledge? Kissing won't make you pregnant. You speak as if you understand it very well. Have you ever kissed before? This. Lin Yuhin was flustered. But Murong Ying continued to provoke. Classmate Lin, your current task is to study well. Don't be overly concerned about the opposite-sex students. Be careful that it will affect your grades. My grades have always been good. Teacher Murong doesn't need to worry about me. Li Fan, let's go. I'll accompany you out of the hospital. Husband, I'll take you home. The two of them simultaneously stretched out their hands towards Li Fan. Chapter 113. To communicate with these two women, Li Fan felt that he would rather fight with Guan Wenbao for another 300 round. Motherfucker, what the hell was going on? His plan was about to be disrupted by these two women. You two, stop fooling around. I'm a patient, do you know that? Li Fan said angrily. Moreover, I have legs, I can get out of the hospital by myself. I don't need your help. As he spoke, he ignored the two women and directly pushed open the door and walked out. Ah, Li Fan. Wait a minute. Murong Ying stopped Lin Yuhin, who wanted to chase after him. Classmate Lin, how about the two of us have a chat? Director Murong, I don't think the two of us have anything to talk about. Lin Yuhin looked at Murong Ying. We don't belong to the same world. Indeed, we don't belong to the same world. Murong Ying agreed with this point. But because of a certain someone, they crossed paths. Although this is not the result that I want to see, there are some words that I want to warn you about. Director Murong has a high position and power. Lin Yuhin said with a bit of sarcasm, I'm really flattered that you want to personally warn a small figure like me. Classmate Lin, you're still young, there's no need for you to speak so harshly. Murong Ying looked at Lin Yuhin as if she was looking at a little girl. After all, the marriage between me and Li Fan is something that both parents have agreed to. It's absolutely impossible for you to interfere. Moreover, Li Fan is not an ordinary person, and is not someone that a girl like you can control. It's better for you to keep your distance from him. That's funny. Lin Yuhin curled her lips. First of all, I don't have that kind of feelings for Li Fan. Secondly, even if I do have feelings for him, who are you to stop me? What era was it now? Arranged marriages were no longer practiced. You two haven't even gotten a marriage certificate. Even if I like him, it's reasonable and legal. Director Murong, with your status, you shouldn't have said these things to me. What's wrong? Are you afraid? Me? Afraid? Of course you're scared. Lin Yuhin nodded confidently. I majored in psychology. You can't hide it from me. You're afraid that I'll snatch Li Fan away. Ridiculous. Murong Ying snorted coldly. Why would I be afraid? If you're not afraid, how about we make a bet? Lin Yuhin made a victory sign in her heart. Although Murong Ying's figure was better than hers, and her background was also better than mine. But when it came to intelligence, that was his advantage. Bet. Tell me about it. From Li Fan's classmate Li's attitude, you should be able to tell that his feelings for us are similar. So, we're on equal footing now, and the opportunity is also fair. Both of us, let's bet on who can make Li Fan fall for you. Interesting. Murong Ying crossed her arms and pondered for a while, but, you'll definitely lose. Are you sure you want to compete? We'll know after we compete. The loser will leave Li Fan's world. Do you dare to do that? Lin Yuhin deliberately provoked Murong Ying. She knew that this method was more effective. Why not? Murong Ying nodded. I accept your challenge. Okay. Lin Yuhin was a little proud. She was killing two birds with one stone. She didn't say to chase after Li Fan, but to make Li Fan fall for her first. Humph humph, it's not difficult to make Li Fan fall for me. Moreover, we don't need to be boyfriend and girlfriend. I can win against a beauty like Murong Ying and make her leave Li Fan on her own accord. Then, I can let Li Fan return to his normal life and correct his worldview. Ayaya, I'm really awesome. I can actually think of such an awesome idea. Then it's a deal. It's a deal. When the two women pulled away from the smoke-free battlefield, Li Fan was also setting up his own trap. There was a secluded corner at the back of the hospital. There was almost no one there. Li Fan deliberately bought a grilled sausage and cola from Huang Lei. As if to avoid everyone's sight, he squatted in the corner and started to eat the grilled sausage. But to be honest, Li Fan hadn't eaten such delicious food for a long time. He was quite excited. He didn't want to get injured again. The feeling of not being able to eat was really unpleasant. Take the bait. Quickly take the bait. Li Fan sat on the stairs and took out his phone. He pretended to secretly eat while scrolling through Weibo. Taizhu and Murong Ying weren't here. Li Wenzhua should know that this was his only chance. After a few more days of recovery, he probably wouldn't be able to kill me. If I were Li Wenzhua, I definitely wouldn't miss this opportunity. Li Fan waited for more than an hour. His phone was almost out of battery. He finally stood up and stretched his body. He was ready to leave. But at this moment, a chilly wind came down from above. Li Fan didn't hesitate and immediately turned around and kicked. Li Wenzhua somersaulted in midair and landed on top of a dried fountain statue to stabilize himself. We meet again. Li Fan finally smiled. Seeing Li Wenzhua again, he wasn't angry but excited. It's time to continue our unfinished battle, right? It's time to complete your nightmare. Li Wenzhua took a deep breath and slowly separated his palms. Thanks to you, my minor formless magic technique had a breakthrough. It's now the 5th level. Then aren't you going to treat me to a meal? I'll send you to hell. Li Wenzhua said and suddenly chopped at Li Fan with his hand. Li Fan took a step back. Li Wenzhua's hand chopped at the wall behind Li Fan. Peng. The wall was forcibly cut out a groove, and then Li Wenjue used another piercing hand, which was dodged by Li Fan sideways. Pu. The wall was once again pierced by Li Wenjue's palm. Damn it. Minor formless magic technique is a bit too heaven-defying. Even I can't train my body to be like steel. The current Li Wenjue doesn't need the goosefeather blade, nor does he need a pair of iron claws. He himself is the strongest weapon in the world. You can't defeat me. Li Wenjue continued to attack. Li Fan could only use the red-crowned crane wings to block the attacks. The red-crowned crane wings can be said to be Li Fan's best defense. It allows him to form a 1-meter vacuum zone around him, blocking any attack. But Li Wenjue's attacks are too strong. Soon, Li Fan's hands were covered in wounds. It seems like he won't be able to hold on for long. But Li Fan doesn't panic. Instead, he is very calm. He is waiting for an opportunity. Go to hell. Li Wenjue's left hand suddenly stabbed at Li Fan's throat. This is the moment. Li Wenjue's dominant hand is his left hand. His goal was to seal his left hand. Chapter 114. Deer Capture. Li Fan's hands lock onto Li Wenjue's left hand as he forcefully pulls it down. Although Li Wenjue has copper skin and iron bones, Li Fan's deer strike lock technique makes him unable to break free. His body is pushed forward, but Li Wenjue doesn't care. Even if he can lock his arm, Li Fan won't be able to hurt him. His lesser phaseless divine technique is that heaven-defying. He has already trained it to the 5th stage. As long as he can kill Li Fan, he might be able to advance to 1,000 households when he returns. Li Wenjue looks at Li Fan with eyes filled with greed. It is as if Li Fan is just a prey in his eyes. And this kind of gaze is something that Li Fan doesn't like. Still not giving up. Li Wenjue sneers, "Your death date has arrived." "No, it is your death date." Li Fan suddenly laughs. Li Wenjue is thinking in his heart, could it be that this fellow has gone crazy from despair? Before he could figure it out, a bad feeling suddenly exploded from his back, causing Li Wenjue to feel a chill run down his spine. Li Wenjue turns his head and sees a horrifying scene. The statue of Second Master Guan by the side of the fountain suddenly moves. No, that is not a statue. It is clearly a man with silver paint on his face. He raises a crescent moon blade in his hand and suddenly jumps over. In a blink of an eye, the crescent moon blade brings with it a crimson glow as it lands on Li Wenjue's arm, splitting Mount Hua. Guan Wenbao's Guan family's saber technique is very domineering. Its attack power is strong and it presses forward. Li Fan believes that with Guan Wenbao's saber technique, he can definitely restrain Li Wenjue's lesser phaseless divine technique. Indeed, the air seems to burn as the crimson flame slashes on Li Wenjue's arm. Clang. With a muffled sound, Li Wenjue's arm trembled heavily, and then with a poochie sound, it was forcefully chopped off by Guan Wenbao's saber. Impossible. Li Wenjue howled in pain and took 3 steps back. At the same time, he sealed the qi and blood in his left hand to prevent himself from losing too much blood and becoming weak. But even if he dealt with it in time, he had lost an arm just like that. Moreover, it was his favorite hand. As for Guan Wenbao's crescent blade, it was bent. It was a ghastly sight. Li Wenjue clutched his broken arm, coldly staring at Li Fan and Guan Wenbao. Despicable bastard, how dare you sneak attack me? Go to hell. Don't be shameless. Li Fan cursed, how dare you say such things? A mere inexperienced brat dares to scheme against me. I'll take your life. As Li Wenjue spoke, his eyes were already bloodshot. His right hand directly reached out towards Li Fan. Even if he only had one arm, he still wanted to fight him to determine who was better. Old Guan, leave the rest to me. Li Fan did not want to team up and bully a person with only one arm. His body trembled and he roared, causing the ground around him to tremble. Bear strike. Bear cavalry. Li Fan's body seemed to have swelled up a bit. True qi filled his body, strengthening his muscles, and even the bones in his body had changed. Just like India's yoga, when cultivated to the extreme, Chinese true qi could also allow a person to be reborn. At this time, under the strengthening of true qi, Li Fan's height of 1.7 meters had grown to 1.9 meters. The muscles on his body had also become firmer. At first glance, Li Fan looked like a giant bear in human form. Li Fan was wearing a suit, but his shirt was torn by Li Fan. His pants had also become cropped. Seeing Li Fan's transformation, Li Wenjue was clearly shocked. Abnormal bone changing. This Li Fan's internal energy had already undergone such a powerful transformation. Even after training to the 5th level of minor phaseless technique, he still could not achieve abnormal bone changing. At the very least, he needed to reach the 8th level of minor phaseless technique. And this man clearly only had the strength of 4 tigers. How could he achieve such a feat? Black Bear slamming the door. Li Fan raised his palm and slapped towards Li Wenjue's face. Li Wenjue raised his right arm and blocked in front of him. But the power of Li Fan's slap was too strong. In an instant, his body was sent flying as if he was swatting a bug. Boom! The fountain sculpture behind him was instantly crushed. Li Wenjue was lying inside. Although he did not suffer any external injuries because of minor phaseless technique, his internal organs were affected, and his blood flow was somewhat unstable. Li Fan took 2 steps forward and grabbed Li Wenjue. With a single hand, he lifted him into the air and smashed him on both sides. Finally, he smashed him heavily on the ground and added a kick. Bam! This kick was extremely heavy, and Li Wenjue spat out a mouthful of blood. The power of this kick from Li Fan was too strong. Even with his golden body, Li Wenjue could not completely block it. He was extremely shocked. How could a mere Li Fan have such strength? Li Wenjue, I did not have the intention to hurt you, but you forced me. Li Fan stepped on Li Wenjue with one foot and said in a muffled voice, I will not kill you, but I will accept your martial art. With that, he suddenly retracted his bear cavalry stance. His bones let out a crackling sound, and his body returned to its original state. Then, he changed to Toad Strike. Before Li Wenjue could stand up, Li Fan slapped him on the forehead. He was a pure young body, so he could absorb a woman's true qi from his mouth. Li Fan had always wanted to improve on this. If he could not only absorb true qi from women, it would be much more convenient. Furthermore, absorbing it from his mouth was too evil. He could use his mouth on women, but he could not bear to use his mouth on men. Therefore, during the few days that Li Fan had been recuperating in the hospital, he had comprehended a new technique. Dragon Toad Ingestion. Li Fan allowed his true qi to form a black hole from his palm, and then let it flow through his body, imitating the way a pure young body absorbs true qi. Although the effect was less than 1/10 of a pure young body, it was very useful for a seriously injured person. Li Fan's palm was like a greedy toad sucking water, forcefully extracting true qi from Li Wenjue's Baihui acupoint. What are you doing? Li Wenjue was terrified, and he felt a wave of panic in his heart. Following that, the true qi in his body seemed to be out of his control, and was forcefully extracted from his dantian. It was as if he was sleeping soundly in his bed, and suddenly a burly man pulled him out of his bed. This feeling was really uncomfortable. No. The dignified Li Baihu was letting out a miserable cry like a woman, and his true qi was continuously being extracted from his dantian, and through the Baihui acupoint on the top of his head, it entered Li Fan's body. Let me go, I beg you to let me go. Li Wenjue wailed like a ghost and howled like a wolf, but Li Fan did not have the slightest intention of letting go. In fact, he was no longer under Li Fan's control. He felt as if his hand was growing on Li Wenjue's head, and was frantically extracting true qi from his body. He could not stop. Chapter 115. This is also the first time Li Fan uses Dragon Toad's ingestion of water. He didn't think that such a situation would occur. It can be said that he is just using Li Wenjue to test the waters. But who would have thought that the result of testing the waters is a little beyond Li Fan's expectations. The true qi in Li Wenjue's body is completely squeezed out from his dantian. Almost nothing is left, all of it is extracted. In less than 3 minutes, Li Wenjue is already paralyzed on the ground, twitching non-stop. All of the true qi in his body has been extracted by Li Fan. It can be said that he is equivalent to being crippled. From now on, He basically has no fate with martial arts. To him, this is more painful than killing him. Li Fan finally absorbs all of Li Wenjue's internal energy. The uncontrollable suction force from his palm also stops. He looks at his own hand, his heart is filled with amazement. Dragon Toad's ingestion of water can be said to be a technique that harms others to benefit oneself. Furthermore, this benefit is pitifully small. After absorbing so much energy, Li Fan can only use 10% of it. This 10% still needs time to be refined. After refining, it should be enough to raise his strength to the strength of 5 tigers. This way, his realm will step into the advanced level. The distance between him and Murong Ying is getting closer and closer. Li Fan believes that sooner or later, he will surpass Murong Ying. What he needs is time and opportunity, but Li Wenjue is already at his limit. Not to mention that he has lost an arm, he has also lost all of his internal energy. Now that his dantian is also crippled, what awaits him is endless despair. Your Excellency. Guan Wenbao kneels down in front of Li Fan and cups his hands and says, Wenbao has a request. How many times have I said, don't call me Your Excellency? Li Fan waves his hand, just call me by my name. Sir. Please agree to Wenbao's presumptuous request, but Guan Wenbao still insisted, so Li Fan could only nod. Okay. Tell me, what do you want from me? Sir, please promise Wenbao that you will never use this evil method again. Guan Wenbao pleaded, destroying a person's martial arts is scarier than killing a person. Wenbao, I hope that Your Excellency will not use this kind of evil technique again. If you want to use it, you might as well kill him. I think I understand what you mean. Li Fan nodded, but Huang Lei had been secretly watching from the side for a long time. When he heard Guan Wenbao's words, he immediately became unhappy and stood up to reprimand him. Guan Wenbao, how could you say that? If my big brother hadn't saved you, you would still be a lackey for a silly little girl. Not only are you not repaying my big brother, but you're also pointing fingers here. Remember your identity, you're the same as me, just a little brother. As a little brother, you will do whatever big brother says. Do you understand? Some things can be done, and some things can't be done. However, Guan Wenbao was insistent. Fart, when you were a lackey for that silly little girl, you've done even more absurd things. Why don't you say it? Guan Wenbao was speechless, but Li Fan quickly said, don't say that, Lei. If I do that, then what's the difference between me and that snake woman? Today is the first time I used this trick, it's very evil, so try not to use it in the future. Li Fan patted Guan Wenbao's shoulder, we're all brothers. Don't kneel, a man's knees are worth gold. Thank you, sir, it was Wenbao who was rude. Guan Wenbao was very ashamed. Li Fan glanced at Li Wenjue, this is a hospital, Lei, set off the fireworks, let the doctor save him, let's go. Got it, big brother. Huang Lei took out the prepared fireworks and lit them on the ground. The 3 of them quickly left the place, as if they had never been here. This was an abandoned place, and there were no cameras, which were already investigated by Lin Luo and Huang Lei. After Li Fan left the hospital, he asked Guan Wenbao to take the money back to the Miss of the Red Dragon Society. Huang Lei was still a little distressed. 5 million, it was gone before he could even warm his hand. However, Li Fan still owed Liu Shennan 500,000, and he was still waiting for Liu Shennan to call him. Li Fan didn't have time to think about these things. After he crippled Li Wenjue, he immediately returned home and sat in the training room. Phew! Li Fan slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, feeling the changes in his body. A qualified martial fighter could look at his own meridians. Li Fan could do this now. As long as he calmed his mind and concentrated on training, he could see the appearance of his meridians. A stream of true qi came out from his dantian, and then according to the order Li Fan modified, it went through each meridian in his body. After looking inside, Li Fan found that there were 9 important acupuncture points in his meridians. At this time, 4 of these acupuncture points had been opened, and every time he opened a new internal force, one of these acupuncture points would be opened. In other words, his new 7 gallant force had a total of 9 layers. Murong Ying said that the 5 Animal Frolic's internal force had 5 layers, It seemed that after being modified by him, there were new changes. 9 layers. Interesting. I have also absorbed some of Li Wenjue's true qi. Can I smoothly open the 5th acupuncture point? Li Fan first mobilized the Dantian qi in his body, refining Li Wenjue's true qi that was stored in it. This Li Wenjue's true qi was very overbearing, and it also carried a kind of evil. Once it was released, it immediately collided in Li Fan's body, as if it was very difficult to deal with. Motherfucker, you think I can't deal with you? Li Fan curled his lips. Even Murong Ying's true qi was subdued by the young master, not to mention your strange martial art. Li Fan immediately mobilized all the true qi in his body, and began to encircle and suppress Li Wenjue's true qi. Rather than saying encircle and suppress, it was more like devouring. After all, Li Fan's true qi was the majority, so he easily gained the upper hand, and crazily devoured Li Wenjue's true qi. This bit of true qi did not last for too long, and was refined by Li Fan. The extra true qi gave Li Fan a sense of adequacy. The true qi that he had lost before was also completely replenished. Li Fan even had an urge to continue devouring other people's true qi. This feeling of reaping without sowing made him very refreshed. Do you like it? Someone seemed to be talking in his ear, causing Li Fan to frown slightly. Who is it? Thirst for power? That voice did not answer Li Fan, but continued, we are destined to be extraordinary, so why should we suppress our power? As long as you open your heart and accept me, we will be unparalleled in the world. In this world, no one is our opponent. Shut up. Li Fan berated, but the voice laughed. One day, you will need my power, he. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.